Hello, everyone out there on the internet. I realize that the background to me is a lot less spooky and wonderful than our intro, but that's just something you're going to have to deal with. Hello, I'm Matt. I'm the GM of this first series on Telling Tales, Symbaroum. And I'm also joined tonight by our stream manager, the wonderful John, who'll be sitting behind the scenes. Say hello, John.
Hello.
Hello. John's going to be kind of managing how the stream looks, pulling people in, pushing people out, telling me when I've got things wrong, and generally being the most indispensable member of the team. So there we go.
You're just saying that to butter me up.
It's true. So yeah, we'll wave goodbye to John for the moment, and I'll bring on our players one by one. And then I'll give a little bit of an introduction to the concept of Symbaroum as a setting for anyone who's unfamiliar, and then we'll just get on with it. So first off, we've got a regular on. I say a regular, but obviously this is a new channel. But we've got another channel we used to do a lot of stuff on, and a regular on that is Sam, the excellent Sam. So say hello to Sam, who today will be playing. A guy called Bartolom, who's kind of a wandering wizardy dude. Yes.
It's a great description.
Wandering wizardy dude. It's a
like
good thing to have on your CV.
Yeah, not bad.
Apparently.
I wish I was a wandering wizardy dude, honestly.
Well, you're not. You're not.
Yeah,
so
definitely not. That's why I'm here.
Exactly.
I fulfill my fantasies of wandering wizardry.
Yes. We've also got, again, a kind of stalwart of the old channel. We've got Chris, who will be here playing Kvarek, a barbarian mercenary who I believe is somewhat grumpy and may also have a beard as wonderful as Chris's.
Greetings, internet friends.
I love, by the way, I haven't even mentioned this to Chris, but I do love that he's doing this from bed.
More or less.
Just to add to our spooky aesthetic that we've laid over everything, we have Chris coming at us live from his Pusheen themed bed.
It's one of the big benefits of role playing on the internet. Why not be in bed?
Why not be in bed? Absolutely.
I'm going to be your scheduled thumpet monkey for this introductory session, at least. I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent. We also have another old channel regular. We've got Elle, who will be playing Aurea, a sort of displaced knight person. Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to be bringing the charisma to the charisma and the money to the party.
So much charisma that you even fight with charisma.
I fight with charisma. It's like, hey guys, why are we fighting with swords when my wit is so sharp?
Exactly.
I thought that was going to be like some kind of pacifist morality thing. Why are we fighting with swords when I could kill you with words?
Why are we fighting with swords
Exactly.
when I could kill? No, it wasn't. It was just, hey, why are we doing this when I could just cut you with my tongue instead in a non-weird way?
Excellent. And last, but by no means least, we have Mike, who is going to be playing a kind of ranger type character called Ansel, with a troubled past and nothing left to lose.
I suspect that I might lose something along the way, whether it's possessions, dignity.
Dignity, that's a big one.
Sanity.
Yeah,
yes,
dignity is definitely a big one. Definitely a big one. Right, so that's all our players. So for anyone kind of unfamiliar with the setting of Symbaroum, I'll give the briefest of run-throughs of it. And I'll also talk a bit about how this session may differ from other sessions and how this session may differ a bit from other sessions you've seen of Symbaroum, because there will be just a couple of differences, and they're worth noting in case there are some Symbaroum experts in the comments who are like, what the hell is going on? So Symbaroum is a dark fantasy role-playing game from Fria Publishing, or Fria Ligan, if you're going to get Swedish about it. And it is kind of a tale of the inhabitants of a land that has been made barren and uninhabitable by a dark magical war, fleeing north over some mountains to colonize an area which previously was dominated by barbarian clans, and exploiting a huge nearby forest called Davakar, which is extremely dangerous and corrupt and holds many, many mystical, awful secrets.
And elves.
And elves, who aren't fond of anyone. How our session will differ from the regular kind of setting within the Symbaroum core book is that, for a start, this session, and this session only, will be set 8 years before the regular timeline. So if you're familiar with Symbaroum, we are in year 12. So if anything I do or say doesn't correlate with your knowledge, that's the reason why. That's definitely the reason why. It's not because I got it wrong. And also, I would say that definitely consider this session in particular to be a prologue. Okay, so we might be a bit more railroady perhaps than we normally would be, and we might also, just bear that in mind. This is a prologue. The main story is going to happen 8 years after this. What does that mean for our characters tonight? What does that mean for our players' sense of selves and, as Mike pointed out, dignity? Who knows? We'll find out as we go along. So if anyone has any kind of deep, incisive comments on what we're doing, or any questions they want to ask, we're going to have a little Q&A session at the end of the stream when we finished up role playing. So pop them in there. John will take a good note of them, and then we'll pop them up later. If you have questions for me, if you have questions for the players, although obviously, please be nice. Make them nice. Be nice in general. Thank you. That's great. Okay. So, without any further ado, if we're all good, John, can you remove for me, please? Remove Chris and Mike, because we're going to be picking up with Sam and Elle, or their characters, Aurea and Bartolom, who are walking along a dusty track at sometime near the end of summer in the ruined kingdom south of the mountains. You have been walking for some days towards a vast refugee camp that is on the edge of the Titans, where caravans wait to take people over there to the new land, a land of bounty and relative safety. You are Elle. You are, of course, Aurea, a wandering, dispossessed knight, and Sam, Bartolom, a wandering wizard who has lost his master quite recently. Not in a kind of, you didn't misplace him. He's
misplaced.
Dead. Yeah. Let's start by just giving a quick description here. Elle, do you want to give a quick description of Aurea? What does she look like?
Okay, yeah. So Aurea is kind of, to give like a little bit of a small bit of a background. She comes from nobility technically before all her family died, so she's quite prim and proper looking. She's got quite like defined, like sharp features, kind of. She's got blonde hair cut into a kind of like pixie cut, and she has scars here, which totally just basically where my eyebrow slits are. She's got like one there. She's kind of, she's like slim build, but muscular, because she has been a knight for the bulk of her life, which, by the way, she's about 26. But yeah, she has become disillusioned with it all and would rather kind of try and not do that anymore. But yeah, point being that she's quite muscular, quite trim, blonde, short hair, sharp, pointy features, generally a look of disdain on her face.
Sounds good. Sam, give us Bartolom.
Bartolom is, well, as Matt said, he's a wizard. He's kind of wandering at the moment, a bit sort of without a current purpose other than to get over these mountains up to Ambria. He's quite skinny, quite gaunt in his face, has kind of a scraggly beard, wearing quite heavy, long robes with a lot of pouches almost everywhere of various random things he's collected to inspect or, delve into a bit more when he's more settled. Carries a long walking stick, which I think might come in handy at the moment. And that's about it.
Yeah, sounds good. So you two are old maybe not, you're not best friends, but you certainly know each other from years ago during the Great War against the Necromancers, where you were both very young but still expected to serve in the battle, either in the kind of the caravan train carrying things and running around and making sure things were working, or perhaps in the case of Aurea, actually in the battle line, even at the relatively young age of 14 or 15, because it was a horrific, desperate conflict until victory was finally achieved. But now, in the years since, the kingdom has fallen into horrific disarray. Much of it has become barren. The fields are untillable. The livestock are dying, and now the entire population is swarming north over the mountains to find a new life. And you are among them. You crest the hill of the path you're walking on, and ahead of you is a vast, sprawling refugee camp. You can hear and smell everything at the kind of kilometer away distance you are. So many voices, the scent of, human waste, food, sweat. The general sense is, this is not a happy place. And it's full of a lot of people who want to very much not be there anymore. There are very few people behind you on the path, or indeed ahead of you, but you can see there are other roads leading into it with quite a few other people coming in for whatever reason. Your path in, not so many today.
All right, so refugee camp. I think my first kind of order, we've been traveling for a while, is to find where these peasants give out their food, which will undoubtedly be delicious and not horrendous.
I mean, any food right now to you would taste good. You certainly haven't ate heartily in a long while. You wander kind of through the boundaries of the refugee camp. No one kind of stops you or kind of asks who you are or checks on you or anything like that. The place is swarming. There are families here, children, other individuals wandering around looking lost. Before long, you find what appears to be a kind of large, like a large tent that's been set up that does seem to have kind of tables set out outside it where people are ladling out. I mean, you could call it broth, but it's pretty thin, watery stuff. But it is at least something to eat. Notably, there is a member of the Queen's Guard, a knight, stood kind of... He's not interfering. He's just kind of generally watching and making sure the food gets handed out. The Queen's Guard are also known as panzars. And Aurea, you used to be a member of the Queen's Guard and a panzar, but you have resigned your commission in order to go find a better life for yourself over the Titans.
Do I recognise, obviously, the knight giving out the food as a question?
Well, why don't you give me a roll to see if you recognise the knight? Because we haven't had a goddamn roll yet. So for anyone interested, Symbaroum has a D20 rolling system, but it's really quite different from something like D&D. You have stats that generally range from 5 to 15. The higher, the better. And basically what you're going to try and do is try and get equal to or under the stats that you're rolling against. You'll also have some modifiers put on it, usually either by me just deciding the difficulty of it, or if it's against someone, the kind of opposing stat that you're rolling it against. So let's just have a straight up roller this time. And I'd say, you know what, that's probably your cunning. I don't know, to kind of place this person in your memory. So try and get equal to or under your cunning.
Which is a whopping 7.
A whopping 7.
A whopping 7. Oh, lordy. Right, let's, come on, don't fail me now, D20. 8.
Oh, so close, so close. Brutal, but typical for the first roll of a story. It would be bad if the first roll of the story went well, right? That's,
exactly.
Doesn't work.
Gotta get the bad ones out the way.
Absolutely. So you walk up to this table, and no, you can't place the knight. But there are a lot of knights in the Queen's Guard, or at least there were. So it's not entirely a surprise to you. I take it are you guys gonna join the queue and?
Yeah, gonna grab a bowl and get in line.
How long is
Sure.
the line?
It's not that long, actually.
Not that
you
long.
think you'll only be waiting a few minutes.
Yeah, in that case, I'll just join the back of the queue.
Okay.
Food.
You do so, and as you kind of get towards the table, the knight who's kind of panning around does definitely notes your sword. Definitely kind of looks down at your sword and kind of his brow crinkles a bit, just warily. And he looks up at you and kind of, after about 10 seconds, leans forward a bit and goes, So Aurea?
Yes. Yes.
It's me.
She's desperately like grabbing for his name. Has no idea.
No, you have no idea. He
Yeah.
says, "Oh, it's good to see you well, but are you not here with your family?"
It would be difficult to be here with them. They have, in fact, they died in the Great War.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
These things happen. I'm the last remaining. I mean, can you really be an heir if the rest of the family's dead? But I'm determined. I'm going to build those back up. That's why I quit.
I suppose so.
Exposition.
Well, I do not really know what to say. Is this your companion here?
Yes. This is Bartolom. We've fought side by side a few times during the battle. So he's as close to family as I have now.
I'm with the Ordo Magica. It's a pleasure to meet you, Knight.
Yes. Well, I shouldn't really be spreading information like this. We're supposed to guide people towards the official caravans, the ones run by the dukes and the queen. But for an old companion in battle, there is a caravan master here. His name's Argasto. It's a private organization he runs. They've taken a few groups of people back and forth over the Titans, but apparently he's changing tack, not going for the rich people anymore. He's after swords and scholars. That seems to suit you two.
That does seem to suit us too. And you say that taking this caravan would basically get us kind of priority in going over the Titans.
He doesn't have to wait for priority. It's his own private caravan train. Otherwise, you'd have to wait. It's only families and the wealthy are being loaded on at the moment. Order of the Queen.
Well,
But-
that's not going to be us.
It's not, and you may be here a very long time.
Well, it seems we have no choice. What do you think, Bartolom?
Sounds like the best option we're going to get. Thank you.
Thank
If you walk about 10 minutes north from here, just start asking after Argasto, and they'll point you towards him. He seems a relatively honourable man.
Okay, so yeah, I think I trust him, considering we technically probably fought together.
Yeah,
Not that I can
you're
remember
almost
it.
sure you did, but you cannot.
Yeah.
The war, there's been a lot of fighting since, and you really don't know.
Well, hits to the head.
But at least he didn't
Exactly.
pick up on it, so that's fine.
Nailed
Okay,
it.
I'm going to assume you're going to kind of finish up this mildly distasteful broth and then move yourselves on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. In that case, John, can you pitch Elle and Sam out, please, and give me Chris and Mike? Lovely. So you two have been spending a very dull and moderately unpleasant few days in the large tent that Argasto has set in the middle of this refugee camp, while he, for reasons really quite unclear to you, is attempting to gather more swords than he already has, which is not insignificant, and some scholars you really don't know why he needs these individuals. Although I would say, Kvarek, you probably have a slightly sick feeling in the bottom of your stomach about exactly where he needs to go with scholars and swords. Before we get into any kind of character actions, let's get those descriptions in place. So, Mike, tell us about Ansel.
Okay, so Ansel is human. He's 23. And just describing his appearance first, like he's got a mop of curly dark hair, quite far down towards his neck. Wisps of a beard, the wisps of a beard of a young 20-year-old, 23-year-old. Quite pale in his skin, has quite big dark bags under his eyes which protrude ever so slightly, and he's got a sort of like a rangy build, quite tall and a bit ungainly at times.
Sounds good. And Chris, give us Kvarek.
Kvarek is somewhat the opposite of Ansel. He's very solidly built barbarian from north of the mountains, wearing quite distinctive armor that is just pitted and chunked and has seen an awful lot of battle. He's not bristling with weaponry, but has his sword close by and is wearing an expression of exhaustion, both with the situation and with the plane of existence in general.
Yeah, just the world. I feel Kvarek. I do feel Kvarek. So, as I say, you are in this tent together. You've only just woken up, really. There's no point in getting up early in this place, and there's no point really doing anything until Augusto decides that, for whatever reason, he's got enough people to set off with. You do hear outside. Augusto is out there with a couple of the other people in the caravan train. He's there with Telkeen. She's the kind of main driver and coachman for the train. He's also out there with Lestra, who's the head of the guards, who basically you two essentially kind of report into, although it's very informal, and you're not entirely sure that Lestra's heart is in any of this. Outside, you hear that a conversation is being struck up with two voices you don't recognize, who seem to be there to ask to take part in the caravan train. I will ask, do you want to go out of the tent and see if it is? But I hope you say yes. Otherwise, this next scene is going to be very disjointed.
Yeah, sure. Why not? We've got nothing else to do. Why not take a step outside and keep today?
You've certainly got a moment to say anything to each other, or do a bit of role play.
Finally setting off today, please the gods.
I hope so. This cannot come soon enough. I'm ready to leave.
Actually smells worse than Yindros right now.
I'm very bored of this tent right now.
Let's go find out what the old man's up to.
Indeed.
So outside the tent, there's quite a bit of space that Augusto has managed to clear for his caravan crew, and in the center of it, he stood a large, well-built man of late middle age, dark skin, relatively thick beard, but starting to go bald at the top. He's speaking to what looks like a relatively young knight errant of some kind, and from the look of their robes, a down on their luck member of the Ordo Magica. You can go ahead and bring the other two in, John. Thank you. Ooh, is Elle off fixing a mic? No, there she is. You are in the scene. Augusto is now talking, obviously, to Aurea and Bartolom, and is saying, well, it's very well that you come in here and say you want to take part in this train, but I've yet to see any indication that you have any relevant skills. He points at Bartolom. Where's your master?
He is unfortunately dead. As are so many of our companions. I don't know how you can possibly doubt our abilities. We fought in the Great War and we're alive.
Fought in the Great War. What, under your mother's skirts? Look at the age of you. And you know how to use that? He indicates your longsword. Oh, now we don't have Elle's voice at all. But we do have an excellent charade game from Elle. Wonderful. Shall we?
I think I'm just going to take Elle off and consult with tech support for a moment.
Okay, no problem. No problem. Appropriately and wonderfully and consistently with my record in streaming and doing channel stuff, we have, of course, arrived at a moment where only Aurea can really interact with the situation that's happening. So, yeah.
What's the name of the caravan master again?
The name of the caravan master is Argasto. Yeah, you know what? I am going to describe all the named members of the caravan right now, and hopefully by the time I come to the end of that description, Elle will be back with us, with Aurea. So as well as Argasto, who I've already described, there's Telkeen. She is in her early 30s, fairly nondescript woman with brown hair that's kind of tied back in a long braid. She dresses very, very regularly. Her most notable characteristic is how unnotable she generally is. She's also quite quiet, but definitely quietly competent. I think we might be ready to have Elle back again. Yeah.
Yes. Praise the sun. Okay, so
Wonderful.
basically, to take my headset seems to be having some issues. Sorry, guys. I'm just having to use my laptop mic.
It sounds absolutely fine. So,
right, cool. So yes, continue. Are we?
So continue. Yes. So yeah, Argasto has kind of indicated your longsword and asked if you know how to use it.
Yeah. So at this point, I started to kind of unsheath it a little bit, quite competently, might I add, and
it's good that you can unsheath it.
I can unsheath it. I can unsheath the sword well. Damn right. But yeah, so and I kind of look at him and with disdain again, just complete disdain. And I'm going to just kind of try and like intimidate a little bit. I'm just going to say like this sword has taken many a life, and I'm hesitant to say that because I'm not proud of it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't believe me, I could easily run it through your throat.
Okay, let's give you a persuasive roll there. So roll against your persuasive, which for you is very good, but you'll be rolling against Argasto's resolute.
Mm-hmm.
And his resolute is quite good as well.
I hate him.
So I'm going to say that you've got a -4 on it. So,
so
I believe your persuasive is 15.
No, my strong's 15, my persuasive's 13.
Oh, 13. Okay, well, you got a -4 on that, so you're rolling against 9.
Come on, right? Just be good to me this once. It was that or lower, right?
Equal or lower, yes.
Yes.
4.
Nice.
There we go. Great. So Argasto kind of tips his head back, laughs a loud, booming guffaw, and says, "You're all right. You'll do. Okay." He nods over to where a sturdy woman with long dark hair is standing. She rolls her eyes slightly and basically indicates a sort of sleeping roll to you that's tucked into the side of a caravan, but doesn't seem particularly interested in having much interaction with you beyond that. Chris and Mike, that is Lestra, the head of the guards of the caravan. He indicates Bartolom and says, "So this one's with you."
We've been
Sorry, he says that's a warrior.
Absolutely. I've travelled with him again, since the Great War, if you accept me, you accept Bartolom.
All right. And you think you can be of some use in studies of the arcane, runes, things like that?
Yeah, that's what I do best.
All right. I suppose you'll do as a backup if the priest isn't good enough. All
What
right.
do you expect to find?
Now's as good a time as any. All right. Everyone gather up. The existing members of the caravan crew start to kind of huddle together a bit and then kind of look at each other like, now we find out, sort of thing. Right. We're going over the mountains and then we're going north to the forest.
Oh, no.
Enough
You
from
lost your
Clara.
mind.
Enough from you. Let me talk. I've got a couple of pathfinders. Barbarians like you. That should make you happy, eh?
Not much makes me happy about that forest.
Yes. All right. We've got a priest as well. Look, there's a location, a place, a site I've heard of. I've heard good things about it. People have already been there. They've looked through it. It's safe. There's no danger there, but there might be more goods, items, resources, yes? Very valuable things come out of the edge of that forest. And I'm tired of ferrying minor nobles back and forth here. So we go over, and all of you come north with us. We go into the forest. We look for whatever's there. And on the off chance there's some danger, we've got the swords to deal with it. And we've got the scholars to be able to know what we're looking for. And that's it. We come back. You all get paid. You all get paid. Even the ones of you who've only just joined. And if we find a lot of good stuff, we share out the spoils a little. A little. I am footing the bill for this. That's it.
Still saving your life if bad things happen.
Yeah, that's what I'm paying you for. If any of you want out, you can go out now. But I'm telling you, this tip's good. And these pathfinders I've got, they seem to know their business.
Well, I don't know about you, Batalon, but I am in because I'm going to need all of the money I can get in order to kind of try and build from the ground up. So, and hell, what have we got to lose at this point? My family's dead. Your master's dead.
I'm happy to go. I think I've heard about this forest. It sounds like there's incredible undiscovered artifacts there, all kinds of things we can look at.
The forest's a nightmare made of wood, but I'll follow if you keep paying me.
I don't want to be in any trouble. I don't want any danger, but I can't stay here, and I need the money, so I'll stick around.
Well, let me tell you, boy, this will take you about as far from home as you can go.
Sounds good.
All right, that's it. Pack yourselves up. We're setting off within the hour. Get anything you need and get back here. Oh, there'll be a priest as well. Look out for him. He's coming with us. Keller, his name is. Augusto turns and goes into his personal tent, and everyone starts kind of striking tents and gathering stuff and loading them into the caravan trains. There are 3 caravans in this, all led by pretty decent looking horses, actually. So there we go. In many of the stories I'd normally run, and in this story going forward, I'll always leave time at the end of scenes for people to do a bit of role playing and interact and kind of push the drama forward that way. For this one, we'll be doing a little scene hopping because we've got to target people and we need to get there. So on that note, why don't we hop? Let's say as if he doesn't have it planned out, 3 days forward. You set off into the huge black claws of the Titans 3 days ago. And the journey, you were anticipating a horrific travail of that would push your stamina to its very limits. It definitely hasn't been that. It's very pleasant late summer. The tracks seem to have been worn down hugely by the number of caravans and people traveling through. You passed a couple of caravans on the way that were just going a bit slower than yours, caravans pulled by oxen, things like that. And generally speaking, it seems safe and, oddly relatively comfortable. You're all riding in these caravans or occasionally walking alongside. There's no sign of bandits. The weather has been reasonably good. And then the storm rolls in. A grand, hugely threatening summer storm that has battered the side of the mountain and the valley that you're in with almost, it's rained to the point where you feel like you're walking through water with holes in it. You're all drenched. The caravans are drenched. The horses are complaining. And as you reach an open cut through the side of a kind of crumbling mountainside, you reach a patch of slick, horrible mud. The caravans are stuck. Argasto is trying to get the crew coordinated to pull them out, and he's not bad at it or not succeeding. It's just a very difficult task to achieve. All of the four of you have been shared as kind of the less integrated members of the caravan have been sharing one of the caravans alongside the priest, a member of the Church of Prios, well, the only church nowadays, called Keller. He's a kind of man in maybe his early 40s, ragged grey hair, very damaged and worn priest robes. He seems friendly enough. And he's now kind of on one knee by one of the wheels, kind of like looking around it and kind of trying to detect, the problem is that it's stuck in mud, but he's sort of trying to see a way around it around the bottom of the caravan.
Is there any way, looking at the kind of arrangements, that we could use something as like a lever with enough like people to try and get the
Could well be. Are you expressing this thought out loud?
I will. I wasn't then, but I will. Aurea will bend down next to the priest and basically state just that, and offer her longsword, which is obviously quite heavy, quite durable, as a possible lever.
Yeah. The priest kind of looks over at your longsword and looks up and says, I'm not sure, Sir Knight, whether that will carry the weight of this wheel, but perhaps if we can get some planking off the side of the caravan itself.
That's an even better idea. I like the part where my sword doesn't get muddied.
It's probably a good thing. The other three of you have kind of heard this exchange. And you know what? I'd say that the more learned member of the group, who presumably has a relatively high cunning, can perhaps make a roll on how to augment this plan.
Okay. Yes, I do. I have relatively high cunning.
Just roll flat against it. I don't see any need to modify.
I got 13, and my cunning is 13.
Wonderful. Not only is it a good idea to try and use a planking from the side of the caravan as a lever, it would also be an excellent idea to place planking in front of every wheel, so that it can gain purchase and roll up out of the mud pool.
If we get enough planks off, we could just pave a way through this muddy patch, get across to the more stable ground.
Oh, I'm not sure I'm paid enough for this. I'll scope out the planks and see how much we can take off the wagon without destabilizing it.
You can take off a load of the planking on the side of the wagon. It can always be put back on later. And yeah, it's not required for it to function as a wagon.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
Augusto, we're gonna try and de-wedge this one. All right.
Yeah. Augusto goes.
Feckham, let's do it, lads.
The noise of the rain is too. You can see that he's obviously heard you and is acknowledging it, but yeah. I was going to say Prios knows what he said back to you, but Prios is a concept you're not all that familiar with.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So who? I'd say that one person can try one side of the carriage at one time, and one person can try on the other side. Who are the two people who are going to actually try and pry off these?
Are we going to be making a strong roll? I assume
you will be making a strong roll. Yes.
In that case, Aurea will 100%.
Okay, Aurea and Kvarik. In that case, do you both want to give me a strong roll?
Just a straight flat roll.
Just a straight up strong roll. I don't think it needs any modifiers.
8. My strong is 11, so I'm comfortably within.
Excellent.
15, thank God.
And are you 15?
I am 15. No, I'm 28, but yeah.
15 strong. Yeah. Strong like 15.
Strong like 15-year-old.
Yes. So you both get the planks off the side of the caravan very easily. It's a very well built caravan, but that also means it's quite easy to take apart without splitting open the wood. So you bring that down, and you're kind of passing it down, I presume, to say Bartolom and Ansel as you're doing so. So with that in mind, Bartolom and Ansel, can you give me, your choice? Because I think you could do this by kind of your gut of where you think it goes, or by a more kind of measured way. So do you want to give me your choice of either a cunning or a vigilant roll?
Definitely cunning.
I'm definitely vigilant.
Yeah, your vigilance good, if I recall correctly. So
yeah,
I got a 20, which is the worst.
That is the worst. The worst you could do.
I need to roll a 15 or less, and I've rolled a 10.
Okay. Bartolom, you are making an absolute pig's ear of placing this planking. Basically, you're kind of trying to stick it under the front. You're kind of trying to half wedge it under the wheels because you're like, that makes sense because it needs to get purchased and pull up. And as you're doing so, Keller kind of reaches over and the priest kind of yanks it out of your hands from under the wheel and says, no, Master Wizard, that is not how we do it. I'm afraid you will split the wood that way, and kind of forces it down in kind of bedded slightly into the mud in front of it and says, the lever will push it on. There is no need to force it under.
That makes sense. Apologies. I'm not used to dealing with this kind of mud. It's more dust down there now.
I'm used to a very different kind of mud. You kind of glance over underneath at the other side, and the Ranger Ansel has already done the same, has placed the planks in front. And all that is basically left is for all of you kind of gather at the back and kind of take a hold of this planking that's wedged under the back wheels, presumably with Aurea and Kvarik taking the lion's share of the grip. And with a great heave as a group, the carriage bursts out of the mud pool, and the horses kind of stagger forward a bit, and it is free. It is on solid ground again. You look back and see that the other carriages are doing a kind of similar thing with varying degrees of success, but yours is definitely the first out.
Don't leave those planks in the mud. We might need them again.
Keller kind of goes, good point, my well-armed friend. Bends down and kind of starts gathering them up, making his robes even more muddy and wretched than they already were.
I will.
I'll give him a hand.
Yeah. As
Excellent.
thanks
I'm
for
not
letting me
robed.
completely botch it.
As he kind of loads the planks on the back, Keller kind of claps you each on the shoulder and says, job well done, and climbs into the carriage and kind of bundles himself up under a blanket to kind of start to dry himself off, and within a couple of minutes is fast asleep. A few minutes later, the other carriages have made their way out of the mud pool, and progress forward seems to be starting to be made. The rain eases off, and about an hour later, you emerge from a cut in the mountainside to gaze on the vast plains of Ambria open before you. In the very distance, against the slight glittering of a river that's showing up just about as the sun is dipping over the horizon, you see what looks like a huge sprawling city, presumably Indaros, the capital of Ambria. I mean, Kvarik, you know it is. You've been there. The thing that strikes the three Ambrians amongst you more than anything else is it has been many years since you've seen so much green. The plains themselves, there are field networks that you can see there, and it's almost, a kind of culture shock for you, because for probably all of you have lived your entire lives, at the very least, during the war and after the war. So you've never really known a place so verdant and obviously rich and fertile, and it's probably quite a shock.
That's the first time you've seen it, lads. There, that's Kadazar, the dead city. About 2 days down the hill from here.
Doesn't look dead.
It was cursed. It was only our tribe who dared set foot in it for 100 years.
I think you got a few friends now. Are they?
Yeah.
Are they all Ambrians?
Down there? Yeah. Ever since the Great Flood across the mountains, it's come back.
It looks heavenly.
I've
never seen anything like it.
Wait till you smell it.
Can't be worse.
Anything smells better than where we just were.
Right,
and this is a fantastic palate cleanser. What can I say? Oh, I'm going to take in the sights for a few moments more.
Absolutely. The caravan probably pauses and camps there on the edge of the track, and you can drink that sight in all you wish. So we'll do another one of our jumps. As Kvarek ably said, 2 days later, you've descended down the northern side of the Titans and across the burgeoning fields and settlements that have sprung up between the Titans and Indaros itself. As you approach it over those 2 days, you can see that it is, again, there were probably larger cities in the Old Kingdom before the war, and you've certainly seen what remains of them. But this is the largest living human settlement you have ever seen. It's sprawled across the length of a river, with lots of very large buildings, but even more so buildings being built. This is a city already, but it is becoming a vast one. You can see that as the road kind of goes into this massive sprawl, there is what seems to be a palace that has been built at the south center of the city with a rudimentary wall and palisade around it. What you are heading to, however, seems to be a rather familiar sight. A huge, albeit maybe more organized, refugee camp on the south side of Indaros, kind of to the southeast of where this palace has been built. As you rumble along the road towards Indaros, Argasto goes to each carriage in turn. When he comes to yours, he kind of steps up on the gangplank of it and kind of hangs one arm off and says, "Right, Indaros, coming up, capital city of Ambria. There are a lot of people here, but we've got no interest in any of them, and I need to be in Davakar before the weather turns. So, we're camping here tonight with the other refugees. There's a market nearby, you can get what you want. No going in the city itself. Is that clear?"
Aye, sir.
Right.
Visibly disappointed by that.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. Well, that's clear then. he jumps down and goes on to the next one. At your carriage in the moment, they seem to kind of swap between them, but you're not kind of sure why. They don't seem to like sleeping in any one carriage from night to night. Are the barbarian pathfinders, two brothers, Bellin and Ludo, who are sort of the news of this. They kind of share a glance with Kavarik as well, and then shrug. They're fairly quiet. You haven't had much interaction with them, Kavarik, to the point where you don't know what tribe they are a part of. In fact, they pointedly seem to not be saying. So, who knows? And given your slightly cynical nature, perhaps you haven't pressed them on it. But they are there, nevertheless, as the caravan train pulls into the refugee camp, circles up, or as much of a circle it can gain with 3 caravans, and start pitching tents. And you can hear Augusto kind of ordering people about vaguely. But the refugee camp market of Indaros seems to be yours. How exciting.
Is there anyone in the market that looks to be selling kind of like cloaks or anything like that, like clothing?
There will almost certainly be someone selling warm clothes, yes.
So before everyone kind of goes off, I'm going to kind of get this group together and go, look, you need to find something in there. Let me know what you're after. I can probably find some of the less con artists among them.
We know that the weather's going to be bad. What weather are we expecting?
The weather? Probably just another big plain storm coming off the mountains. You get one every couple of days.
Okay.
Yeah, as it's moving, it's definitely, summer starting to move towards autumn or fall for our American viewers. And therefore, you think of a kind of, how you get in places not entirely like Britain, where you get a kind of monsoon season or something like that. It's not exactly at that level, but it's certainly, you're getting there. You get a lot of storms, large storms towards the end of summer here.
So I'm hoping to make a roll against my sellswords contacts in the hope of sending them to someone who might get them a bit of a discount.
That's absolutely great. Well, why don't you do that by basically wandering around a bit with them, taking a look around, seeing if there's anyone you recognize, and go ahead, and you've got the details on how that roll is made. Make that roll.
Yeah, do I though? So contact sellswords, I can roll successful persuasive. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would say, you know what? There's a lot of sellswords around here, so I'm actually going to give you a +1 to this. So go ahead and add +1 to your persuasive.
Dear viewers,
I know what your persuasive.
This is my dump stat. Here's hoping.
6.
Oh wow!
Well, 5,
I just got a 6, which is
Hey,
I actually
there we
succeeded.
go.
Proof. I am not a fraud.
Nice.
As you literally as you walk into the market, you hear a rough voice calling, Kvarek, you arse spittle.
Oh,
what are you doing here?
What's this?
And a sort of a very bulky man with a kind of patched black and white, an oddly distinguished black and white beard kind of rumbles out of the crowd and basically starts off an elaborate tirade of insults at you, all of which are thoroughly expected and part of your regular friendly interaction. Not that the others know that.
Delighted to see you're still alive there.
His name now is Dirac, Dirak.
Glad to see you're still alive, Dirac. No one's called in all those debts you've racked up yet.
Well, I'd like to see them try.
Here, these are
who are these
lads,
southerners?
These lads got us over the mountains. Dirac here's good lad, knows the local area. We've got Ansel, Aurea, Bartolom.
Let's say that Kellar is with you as well, the priest.
So. And this one's Kellar, priest of the light. Just a
Dirac
little bit of scorn.
He looks at the priest and kind of spits on the floor and says, "Fine, come on then. I'll show you what they're selling today." And kind of takes you into the market and Dirac, he is a sellsword, but he also, let's say he exercises in, he's a specialist in protection of vulnerable merchants. For only a small regular cost, he will ensure that no one else fucks with them. So he kind of takes you around the market, and basically you can buy whatever you want. If you let me know, we're not going to kind of role play the details of the different merchant interactions. While I would usually do something like that, as I said, we've got somewhere to be. So if you let me know what kind of thing you want to buy, Elle, you mentioned you wanted to buy some kind of heavy cloak.
Both for myself and Kellar, since he was.
There we go.
And obviously his robes got really messed up. So
sure. If you want a kind of, are you looking for something relatively good quality?
I'm posh, so yes.
Yeah, sure. Well, a decent cloak will set you back 10 thaler. A thaler is the highest degree of coin, but I know very well that Aurea definitely has 20 thaler.
She does indeed.
She does indeed. So yeah.
So yeah, she's happy to pay 20 thaler for a warm cloak for her and Kellar. And then at this point, Bartolom may be sad because it's why the hell does he get a cloak? But not me.
Sure.
Oh God. Oh, okay. Right. Okay. Me, Bartolom, and Kellar can have one.
Okay. Sure. So that will cost you 30 thaler, but I guess you're getting paid when you get back from this, right?
Yeah.
So, just you can make a mental note or jot it down or whatever.
Yeah, you better remember this.
And you basically get 3 very thick, sort of grey woolen cloaks, and you purchase those. They seem very decent, actually. Not many people are buying them because they're pricey, and a lot of people, they do not have money. But now, Aurea, Bartolom, and Kellar all have nice thick cloaks. Kellar thanks you profusely and says, "Oh, it's so good to see a young woman of such good morals and responsibility to take care of a priest of Prios. That is very generous of you. Thank you, Sir Knight." And kind of bundles it around himself.
I'm gonna try and
No, you can't.
to get a length of rope.
Sure, you've been dungeoning before, haven't you?
I've read Lord of the Rings at least once.
Yes. So a length of rope. Let's see. Oh, it is wonderfully in alphabetical order. It has rope ladder rather than rope. But I suppose
I'll take a discount then.
Yeah, take a discount on that. That'll cost you 2 shillings.
Yeah, sold.
Okay, you get that wonderful length of rope. Okay, is anyone else going to purchase anything else?
Yeah, I want to see if they've got any more crossbow bolts.
Any more bolts? You've only got 12. Yeah,
I've only got 12.
That is absolutely fine. Do they have a listing for bolts, or is it in the... Oh, actually, you know what? Oh, those are fancy cloaks. Those really were fancy cloaks. You know what? Elle, don't spend 30 thaler. Instead, spend 18 ortegs, because that's the listing for cloak. The others were kind of armor robes. So, you know what?
Oh, that's even better.
That's my bad.
How many ortegs?
Maybe people in chat going, "Oh my god, those are pricey cloaks." 10 bolts will set you back a thaler.
I don't have a thaler, I don't think. A thaler is the most expensive.
It is the most expensive. If it's not listed, you don't have one. There's 10
I'll give him a thaler.
10 ortegs in a thaler.
You can have a thaler. Because if he needs bolts will go towards protecting us.
It's true.
So I will purchase your bolts for you, poor man.
Tonight, that's so generous of you. I will pay you back.
So
Aurea looks in a pouch with 50 thaler in it.
51 thaler. Well, actually, no. I suppose after 18 ortegs.
You'll have broken down into ortegs. Yeah.
Into a whole 49 thaler.
Excuse me, good sir. Do you have a change for a 50 thaler note?
I just need to get my manager.
Oh, John.
I'm only interrupting because I fed Matt false information. I said it was 10 Ortegs in a thaler. It's 10 shillings in a thaler, 10 Ortegs in a shilling,
There we go.
100
Oh
Ortegs
my
in a thaler.
god.
I'm very sorry, chat.
Hey, I'm so
With
rich.
me,
Appalling.
Those are some
not as
cheap
GM.
quotes.
Appalling.
I'm going to go hide and shame now.
But there we go. We can, it's not terribly important right now. We'll work out. You can work out your cash later. It's fine.
Sorry, can I just check how many crossbow bolts I got for that?
You got 10.
Got another 10. Great, thank you.
You got another 10 bolts.
I would like to look for a couple more herbal cures since Kvarik has given the distinct impression this is a dangerous place and we might need some herbal cures.
That sounds like a very sensible thing to do. Herbal cures will cost you a thaler each.
I will buy 2.
Sure. Great. You are overflowing with herbal cures. So, unless there's anything else anyone wants to purchase,
Maybe like bandages or something, if there's such a thing.
sure. There are indeed bandages. A set of bandages will cost 5 Ortegs.
Okay,
Which
yeah, I
is-
can do that.
The lowest, yes, the lowest one, maybe.
Yeah.
No. Yes.
How long is this journey going to be? Was it be worth like stocking up on food?
Algasto provides all your food.
Beautiful.
It's part of your pay, basically.
Wonderful.
So you get back to camp, and it's actually quite late. You've been running around the mart. It's still open. Like the refugee camp never really closes. But unlike the refugee camp you were previously in, the nighttime is quite quiet in the refugee camp below the Titans. The night was definitely punctuated by kind of shouts, cries, the occasional scream. It was a very unsettled place, but this seems a lot calmer. As you kind of come back and settle in for the night, you see Lestra staggering back into the camp. She's got a rather full skin of whatever it is. It's potent. And she kind of stumbles back into the camp, topples over against the side of a carriage, and starts necking the rest of it. Argasto kind of flicks his eyes over to her. He's sat by the central fire, kind of doing some whittling of some kind. You're not exactly sure what. He kind of glances over at her and just kind of seems to take a deep breath and then lets it out and goes back to whittling. Kvarek ain't nowhere in the refugee camp sells alcohol.
Nice. There's a woman who's well prepared.
Not like that. So she's been in Indaros. But Argasto seems to be letting it go.
Yeah, I'd let it go too.
So, unless there's anything else you want to kind of spend the night doing, the night passes over. The sun rises. You've gotten used to the quiet the last few days, but there's the roar of the city and of the refugee camp is what you wake up to. It's quite a still day, actually quite overcast for once, which is sort of unusual this time of year. Argasto is kind of walking around everyone's bedroll and sort of nudging them with one foot, not unkindly, just, now is the time to get up, and rousing everyone generally.
Less
God. Be another 2 days to the forest at least.
Is everyone kind of packing their stuff together?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have that much on me anyway. I have my cloak and my weapons and stuff.
Nope, you don't have much on you, and let me tell you, you've got less now.
Oh no.
That new cloak you bought is gone, as is your money purse.
No!
And Ansel, rather. You are missing a let's see what you're missing. You are missing you know what? Your fishing rod. And Bartolom, you are missing your money purse.
No.
That's probably it. And Kvarek, you know what? You're not missing anything.
Hooray! Suspicion.
You don't have much anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. You hear other people cursing as they find things missing from their stores. Argasto is kind of talking to people and dashing around, and finally kind of ducks into a carriage, looks in, scrabbles around a bit, comes back out and roars, "Fucking priest!" Keller is nowhere to be seen.
Oh,
I was so good to him. I am outraged.
Why did he
Why
take
would-
the cloak? You'd already given him
I'd
a
already
cloak.
given him a cloak.
oh,
Who
he's
needs
got
2
2
cloaks?
cloaks now.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Bartolom, your cloak's gone too. Sorry. Yeah.
Who needs 3
Ah,
cloaks?
3 cloaks. That's what they call him.
He'll be warm when he gets to hell.
I don't like killing people as a rule, but if we ever see him again, I will.
Argasto, who is furiously packing his stuff together, yells, "Kvarek!
Sir.
Quickly, go run and talk to that friend of yours. Tell him to look out for him. I'll pay him if he gets him."
Yeah, good job, sir. I will get that done.
Okay. By the time you go kind of kick Dirac awake and tell him. Dirac grunts and says, if he finds him, he goes, "You want him held or you want him dead?"
He's a priest. You better hold him, or God knows what they'll burn.
All right. I'll take the stuff off him and keep it safe for you.
Sounds good. Thanks, mate.
Okay. By the time you get back, Argasto has got everyone to pack everything up, and is kind of. Some people are protesting, saying that they, Lester in particular, who's lost a rather nice pair of matching daggers, has objected, and Argasto shaking his head and says, "No time, no time."
We better get well paid from this. I'm
Get
gonna
well paid.
and end up with less money than I had before.
We'll all be well paid if we get there and we do the job. We'll find these treasures and we'll come back. And then we'll find that fucking priest. Now get the caravans ready.
I kick a rock in
he's doing
frustration.
Very well. So we'll jump ahead again. It's around 4 days. Incidentally, Chris is more or less right on all these, but here you go, you see. You're traveling in caravans, so the time is taking just a little bit longer because I've placed them between walking and riding, marching and riding. I figure that's about right. So about 4 days later, I believe I do have the logistics here. He said, yes, there we go. About 4 days later, you've been traveling over the great plains of Ambria. You've gone past fields, small holdings, farms, villages, the occasional distant town, but you haven't kind of gone really near any of them. And obviously for the Ambrians here, this is a whole new experience. And again, the color, the green around you, the fertile land almost overwhelms you. The scent of crops, of life is startling to you. It seems to be a land that's kind of very much growing and on the edge of becoming an organized and functioning society, but it's not quite there yet. Your caravan slowly makes its way along the roads north, and as you pass, you kind of approach a large crossroads between a number of fields. You see a number of rough-looking individuals kind of sat around the crossroads in small groups. As the caravan moves up, Argasto is kind of looking over at these people and getting the measure of them. Lester is doing the same, as are the two barbarian pathfinders, who are just kind of the pathfinders are walking alongside the carriages. Lester and Argasto are sat next to each other on the lead caravan, kind of looking warily at them. A large young man with a sort of unpleasant-looking sword at his belt A falchion, if anyone's familiar with that, kind of a hacking sword. Chris loved that. He basically kind of like puts his hands beneath him and starts to stand up, and an older man at his side kind of puts his hand on his arm, and just with a barely imperceptible tilt of his head, indicates all the weapons at your belts, and the large man sits back down, and your caravan moves on. A couple of hours later, you come over the crest of a hill, and ahead of you, in the very distance, is something which the Ambrians among you have never seen the like of before. A vast, unbelievably wide and deep forest right on the edge of the horizon, just occupying the entire field of vision as you come over the top of this hill. Bartolom, years ago on your travels with your master, you saw the ocean, the only one of you to have seen that. Davokar reminds you of that. It's not obviously it's not exactly like that ocean that was grey and roaring and filled the space in front of you. It doesn't move, but it gives the same feeling, one of wilderness, of rage, and both life and death seething below the surface.
It's incredible. I can't believe I'm seeing this.
It's dangerous.
It goes on for miles.
The unprepared go in and don't come out.
I think we're quite well prepared.
Yeah, everyone who doesn't come out thinks that.
I mean, it goes as far as you can see. You can't see the entirety of Davokar because the curvature of the planet is too. It is so spectacularly huge that it's now just filling the entire horizon ahead of you. Even though you are miles and miles from it. In fact, because you can see you can't exactly see the edge of the forest. You could just see it on the horizon. But if Kvarek wants something to kind of throw at them, I believe I did the relevant measurements, and it is between where you are now and the edge of the forest is 40 kilometers, and it fills everything. So that should give you some idea.
If you can see the forest, that's 40 kilometers. That's about another full day's walk. I'll tell you now, Southerners, don't touch anything in there.
Kvarek, how far into the forest are we going? Do you know?
Too far. But he said near the edge. So let's hope he keeps to his word.
Ludo, who's kind of walking alongside your carriage, is kind of picking something out from his teeth and goes, Black Leech Rift.
Does that mean anything?
It doesn't to you. Kvarek, could you give me a cunning roll, please?
Probably also a dump stat. I've got the map up at the minute.
Probably.
Check.
Do you think Kvarek? Yeah, it's a fairly notorious ruin in Bright Davokar, and it's quite near Karvosti. So do you think you'd have a good chance of knowing it?
The problem is my tribe are not really a forest tribe,
you're not.
At least not. Yeah,
that's fine. And thank you for your honesty. So you know what? Just give me a flat out roll, no modifiers.
8, and my cunning is 9. Yes.
Hey, there we go. So Black Leech Rift is a place that is otherwise perhaps even more notoriously known as the Earth Towers. It is definitely within Bright Davokar, so you're not going too far. It is maybe a day or two's travel east of Karvosti. So, and you're absolutely sure that that various Ambrian expeditions have at least partly rinsed the place of artifacts. It is definitely one of the places they struck at first within Davokar. So, Argasto's story holds up which is good.
Okay, the rift, is it? That could have been much worse. Maybe we'll get out of this alive. Have to pass by those fucking Jakars, though.
Ludo says we'll be fine if we're careful.
We don't seem to have been careful so far. We had all our belongings stolen by a priest. I fear.
That's the city. This is the forest. You trust Ludo when he talks about the forest.
All right. If you say so.
So, you travel further. About a day later, you are reaching the very edge of Davakar. In the distance, you see kind of... you haven't seen settlements for a while, but in the distance, you see a kind of blur on the horizon that slowly resolves itself to a huge wooden palisade that seems to be being erected. Within it, there seem to be many wooden buildings. You are effectively seeing a town being built before your eyes. Kvarek, you have no idea what this place is.
What southern nonsense is this?
As you get closer, you can see that there are people teeming around these walls, around the buildings that are being erected. And as you get even closer, you can see that many of those people are not human. For the Ambrians amongst you, again, this is the first time you will have seen goblins. They are small, slight creatures with kind of greyish or greenish skin. They certainly seem to be very kind of dexterous and scamper around in groups. They are wearing odd painted costumes, kind of pieces of wood and pieces of metal that have symbols or colours painted over them in odd places. They are mostly being guided around by individual humans, although there are certainly humans at work as well. And then amongst this teeming mass of people going around their business, you see another thing you've never seen the like before. A towering, colossal figure, at least 8 or 9 foot tall, with kind of long, ape-like arms and sort of kind of a hairless head with pointed ears, who is quite peacefully and contentedly carrying what appears to be most of a tree trunk on one shoulder towards the growing palisade.
I'm just going to kind of instinctively have my hand on my sword hilt. I'm just going to be like, Varek, what in Trios's name are these creatures?
Just the locals. What? Okay, so that's a fantastic question. That is a better question for you. What the hell are they doing building a wall on the border of the forest? It's insane.
I mean... Yeah, you go on ahead.
No. Carry on. Please carry on.
That one is taller than I've ever seen in my life and is carrying a goddamn tree.
Look,
I
Aurea,
think they can fend for themselves.
Ogre isn't even on the top 10 list of weird and dangerous stuff that comes out of that forest.
And we're going in there?
Yep.
We're not getting paid enough for this.
They are gentle as lambs, as long as you treat them kindly.
He does seem very... Seems like he's helping.
Yeah. The goblins, though, I want to know where the goblins came from. Those guys don't help unless they're getting paid or they've been told to.
Well, speaking of goblins, in front of your carriage now, some goblins kind of scramble across the path, heaving at a kind of sort of medium-sized millstone between about 10 of them, and kind of only manage to get it partway across the path before your carriage has to come to a gentle halt while the horses kind of blow a bit and seem a bit uneasy around this new, relatively unfamiliar smell of the goblins. Who do have, it has to be said, a kind of odd, an odd odor to them. Obviously your characters don't know what plasticine smells like, but you know that kind of the plasticine you'd get to play with as a kid, that kind of
Play-Doh.
rich, Play-Doh, that kind of rich fake smell.
So you're telling me they smell yummy?
Sure, yeah. A shocking glimpse into the youth of Chris there. So, and perhaps an explanation. So you, behind the goblins comes a young man who is sort of cursing at them and kind of pushing a couple of them lightly. He's not kind of got, a whip or a stick or anything, but he's certainly in charge of them, and he's certainly ordering them around like he doesn't think much of them. He kind of glances over at the carriage that's stopped up, and he says, "Oh, apologies, travelers, apologies. Just trying to get them to go in the right direction is a nightmare."
Do you want to earn some good deeds, Oria?
Always.
Shall we hop down and give him a push?
Yeah, why not? I mean, what can go wrong?
Any friend is better than any enemy. Come on.
All right, okay.
Okay, the two of you clamber down, and are you assuming you're kind of going over and trying to give this millstone a heave alongside the
trying to lend a hand.
Goblins? Okay, the goblins kind of look over at you and look a bit warily at you, but as soon as you kind of get a grip on the millstone, they kind of shrug and mutter something in a language you're not familiar with, and like they heave with you at the same time. The man kind of throws his hands up in the air and says, "Well, thank you." He's not helping though.
Yeah, fair enough.
Not fair enough. You're not like I'm just going to maybe aiding the cause, getting things done quicker. You seem to be in quite a hurry.
Well, someone's got to coordinate them. I mean, be fair. But thank you. With your additional help, the millstone is like lifted off the road, and you kind of get it tipped onto its side, so it can be rolled essentially more towards where it's going.
So I'm gonna not collar your man, but like what? Just go. What on earth are they building down there?
He nods and kind of turns and looks at the settlement that's being built before your eyes, and says, "Yes, Thistlehold."
Thistlehold.
Yes.
I explained a lot.
A place of hope on the very frontier of Ambria.
The news, I imagine I don't have the news of this has not reached me on the journey.
You definitely don't.
Oh God. I give it 6 months.
Well, I'll hold you to that. I'm far more optimistic. The brave and the bold will be here for years to come, venturing in there and taking what they can and bringing it back for the glory of Ambria. You get the distinct sense this is something he said a lot before.
I have a look on my face like he is literally licking a tree made of death.
He shrugs and says, "Well, I've seen skepticism in the barbarian peoples before, but let me tell you, you come back here, good fellow. You've helped us here, and you can be proud that you've helped in the construction of Thistlehold. Maybe you'll get to hold court yourself with Lassafor Nightpitch, the master of this fine settlement. Now, if you'll excuse me, we have a millstone to attend to." He nods warmly to you two and carries on. The goblins have gone. They're not paying it. Like they are rolling the millstone, but they're not paying attention to this guy. You get the distinct impression they weren't paying attention to him before you helped.
Oh my.
Well, I liked what goblins are they?
Goblins.
That guy.
We should start a pool. What do you reckon? Will it be fire, corruption, dark magic, a cursed beast? What's going to bring this place down?
Don't underestimate the Ambrians. We're an ambitious lot.
Don't underestimate that forest.
Let's just get in there, do what we need to do, and get out as soon as possible.
That is I can get behind that.
Yeah, thanks for getting behind that millstone as well. I'll climb back on the cart.
And speaking of getting going, the caravan moves forward. Within an hour or so, you're out of sight of this nascent settlement, apparently Thistlehold, and you are at the edge of the forest. There have been like kind of banks of trees and kind of woodland dotted around on your way up to here, but the start of Davakar is literally like a dark line stretched across the ground. As you pass under the eaves of the first trees on the edge, a sudden gust of wind, a violent gust of wind, rises up and rustles the canopy around you like a odd, susurrant howl. And Telkeen, leading the front caravan as she usually does, shivers slightly and mutters under her breath, a welcome or a warning.
Doesn't seem like a welcoming atmosphere. Yeah, I'm not excited about this. Oh well.
So, about 4 days later, you'll travel through this part of Davakar, which you have heard from various others in the caravan crew. This part is called Bright Davakar. You don't know why, but you do know that you have picked up that deeper into the forest is called Dark Davakar. So I think you can put the pieces together yourself. It seems you're not used to forest to begin with, being from, below the Titans where you are. But even more so than any woodland you've been in, it seems odd. There's a tension to the air, like something is about to snap or something is about to happen, but you can't quite put your finger on whether it's a sound, a smell, the kind of odd, slightly odd movements of the trees, or a kind of strange vibration in the air. 4 days in, you have set up camp as you have done every night, and now that you're under the eaves of the forest, a watch has been set. So we will say that most of the camp has gone to sleep, and the people watching, you know what? By the very just by the very nature of what we're like the things that we've tended to do. Let's pick the two people who perhaps haven't had as much to do in these scenes. So Bartolom and Ansel. The watch is being done kind of with two people on watch, and it's you two. The caravans are set up in not exactly a clearing, but a more open area, slightly off the path, although path by very relative terms, a sort of area of more beaten underbrush that the carriage has been working its way through. How are you doing your watch? Are you kind of both sat in one place? Are you kind of patrolling around the edge? Are you just sat by the fire? What do you think you'd be doing?
I think I'd be wandering around, just having a look at stuff. I feel like a lot in this forest would be quite foreign to me, the plants and that kind of thing. So I think I'd be wandering around even at nighttime, just, partly it's better for watching, but also have a look at the surroundings, try and see if there's anything interesting around.
Sure. Oh, no, yeah, I didn't mention, but yeah, John, if we can pull Chris and Elle out, that'd be great. Okay, so you're kind of Ansel. What are you? How are you handling it?
I think I would probably be carrying my loaded crossbow and looking a little bit nervous, and probably not straying too far from Bartolom on my own, and definitely not wanting to be too far away from the fire, but very much keeping my eyes looking outwards towards what's surrounding us rather than inwards towards the camp.
Sure. So as you're both doing on one of your kind of regular walks around. So sorry, would you say you're together when you're doing these patrols, or kind of separate?
I think I would probably be staying pretty close to Bartolom during all of this.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Good to me.
Okay, can you both give me a vigilant roll, please? I'd say that it's not a terribly easy thing to pick up on, but at the same time, you're both quite alert. So I'm just going to leave it as a flat no modifier.
Okay, I need 15. I got 17.
Oh,
well, I needed 7 and I got 10. So
good. Okay. In that case, I'm not going to say you don't pick up on it. It just takes you a while. Basically, after walking around and kind of feeling a bit unsettled, and there's just that you just become more, there seems to be a ratcheting up of the tension in the air, and then quite clearly, some distance away in the forest, you hear what sounds like an odd, shrill, but kind of melodic whistling noise.
Did you hear that?
I did. That doesn't sound friendly. Well,
do you think we need to alert anyone, wake them up. I'm kind of nervously looking in that direction and peering into the gloom to see if I can see anything.
Maybe let's see if it happens again. It might have just been a bird. We don't want to wake everyone up. If it was just something stupid, they'll all laugh at us.
That's true. Okay.
Just stay watching and waiting and looking into the darkness.
Okay. How long do you think you'd stay in that one position looking with nothing happening?
Maybe like
A couple of minutes, 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Okay. 5 minutes passes. There's no other noises.
Does it sound like anything I've ever heard or anything I've ever read about? I do have beast lore.
No.
Okay.
It was a very odd sound. Honestly, you're not sure whether it was animal. But you've equally never heard anyone whistle like that before.
I don't like this. I don't like this at all. What do we do?
Well, it might just... Well, we both heard it. Otherwise, I'd say maybe we've just been up too long.
I definitely heard it, and I didn't like how it sounded. Should we go closer?
That sounds like a really horrible idea, but it's probably not. Let's just go a little bit in. If we see anything, we'll come back and wake everyone up.
Okay, that sounds good.
I'm assuming if you're planning to see, you're going to take maybe like a bit of not driftwood, but woodfall from the fire and kind of
grab
hold it as a torch.
Some stick out the fire.
Sure. Okay. You slowly start kind of walking out under the canopy. Can you both make me a discreet roll, please? And I'm going to give you a minus. Let's give you a minus -1 because it's night. Minus another one for the undergrowth, and -2 for the fact that you're holding a big, glowing, bright thing. So let's give you a -4 in your discrete rolls.
I literally need a 1. I have 5 discrete.
Go for it.
Okay.
Think of how spectacular it is if you make it.
I got a 5.
I rolled 20.
Great. Okay, so you basically stumble out under the eaves, and you hear like Ansel literally steps on a large, a large stick that cracks sharply in half, and you hear kind of in the underbrush somewhere near you comes some kind of small animal just kind of squeaking slightly and scurrying away really fast, and you both kind of presumably just stop still.
Okay.
And nothing.
I breathe a huge sigh of relief that we're not hearing anything else. But I'm very nervously kind of looking around and pointing my crossbow in the direction of where things might be coming from.
Sure.
It must have been the wind or something. There's nothing here. If it was anything, I would have heard that.
Wind can make odd noises. Okay. I take it you're kind of moving back and resuming your little patrol. You've only got about 10 minutes or so before you're relieved.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Heading back fairly quickly to the camp.
Okay. You head back to the camp. The rest of your watch goes without anything to note, and you're relieved by a couple of the other caravan guards. I haven't put their numbers, by the way. There's 4 other caravan guards other than Lester. But I'm not naming them. They're not important. They don't deserve names. So, I'm going to assume that sleep does not find you easily.
Almost.
No, and I think that we definitely tell the next watch about what we saw as well. Or, sorry, heard as well.
One of them kind of goes, a whistle.
Like a whistle that I've never heard before. I don't know if it was human or animal or something else.
She kind of looks at the other guards and says, "All right, kid, off to sleep with you." Obviously not taking it very seriously. They're all. You are the youngest person in this caravan, in case you were wondering. Yeah. Okay. The morning comes. We can add the other two in. Back in. Everyone wakes up. The first thing you all notice is that no one woke you up. Whereas normally the last people on watch would wake everyone up. You can hear our Gasto kind of like crawling out of his bedroll, kind of going, "Lestra, why are we still here?"
Where are the? No one's walking.
Lestra and one of the other guards were on the last watch. There's no sign of them.
Yeah, I'm just gonna call over and say who was last on watch. Who was last scheduled to be on watch, Argasto?
Lestra and guard number 4. Lestra and Barrio. There we go. Barrio. Good old Barrio.
I'm absolutely in my head.
Barrio. Everyone knows Barrio.
Oh.
It's one of my favorites.
Not
Everyone knows Barrio.
The what are our pathfinders? Can I scope them out? Are they?
They don't look happy. They kind of share a look and start walking away in opposite directions under the eaves of the trees, kind of looking around carefully.
My sword is drawn at this point, by the way. Like, I'm just like, I don't.
Augusto's
Yeah.
kind of stood up. His hands are on his hips, and he's looking around and going, "Prior's teeth. Everyone go a few paces into the forest. Lestra!"
I'm going to go in the direction that we heard the sound from, but very cautiously.
Sure. Is everyone else kind of going in off? Everyone's staying in kind of sight range of the camp and stuff.
Yeah.
I would assume.
Yeah.
Unless anyone just wants to leg it.
Absolutely
Yeah,
not.
very, very cautiously, a few paces from the caravan site. Again, kind of like sword, like hand on sword, kind of.
Absolutely.
I've been in enough
I'm
battle
going to
scenarios.
go the same direction.
Sure. Why doesn't everyone?
I'm going to go the same
everyone
direction
give
as
me-
the Pathfinder who tipped me off.
Sure. Yeah, sounds good. Why doesn't everyone give me a vigilant roll? And Ansel and Bartolom can take a +1 to it.
Okay, I need 16. And I rolled 20. This ranger stuff, I am amazing at it.
Right, I need a 9.
Did you succeed, Chris?
Yep.
Absolutely don't. I got a 16.
Nothing. So Bartolom, you didn't get it either. Nope. Is that right? Okay, so Chris got it. Okay, Chris, you follow Ludo through the edge of the forest, and as you're kind of scanning, as you turn your head to the left, you see kind of bundled against a tree in kind of you'd say about 40 feet from the camp. You don't know who it is. Well, who it was. But they're wearing a similar kind of armor to the caravan guards, and they are sprawled on the forest floor. You would estimate they have around 20 arrows in them.
No, caravan guard number 4.
I'll kind of. I must have some kind of woodsman's whistle to alert Ludo of this. So I'll kind of give him a.
Kind of. Yeah.
And
Ludo
I'll
kind
head
of turns around, his eyes kind of widen, and he scampers over to them and, in a kind of relatively low but carryable voice, calls out, "Over here, everyone."
Rush over.
Yep.
It was Lestra. Yeah, she is. I mean, pin cushioned. I don't know if your characters will be familiar with such imagery, but is full of arrows, head to toe.
What does this?
Forest does
Ludo shares a very significant glance with his brother. His brother Bellin stands up and says, "We're going." Augusta goes, "I suppose we better make our way. Obviously, this area isn't safe." Bellin goes, "No, we're going back south."
Augusto, that's your warning shot. The forest doesn't give you two.
Augusto comes to his feet, and he's obviously kind of weighing things in his head and says, "Look, we knew this was dangerous, but Lestra's dead. We don't know that we don't know if Barrio is dead. We need to keep going. We're this far in now. Look, if we split up and we're in a smaller group and we go back down, and some of us go back down south, that's even more dangerous than carrying on. No?
The arrows are in her. There's like what?
So
8?
we keep a better watch.
It doesn't matter when there must be 20 of them, and
My caravans are going north.
Are you an idiot?
We are 1 day away.
Elves are going to make a mockery out of you. You better name some very hefty price, because I'm not going looting in this forest when we've been told we're not welcome here. They know what you want. I don't. They do.
Equal shares. Everyone gets equal shares.
That is enough to convince me.
Kvarek, if he's onto something and you recover stuff, valuable things from a ruin where he knows there are valuable goods, you would all be set for life. And well set.
I imagine the Pathfinders have already are looking.
They're packing up their goods and sort of getting ready to leave. I have a map. I bought a map in Indaros in case this happened. They're not trustworthy. I knew that. I have this map. We can still find it without them. We're so close.
Fine, you better pay up.
You know I will. The two Pathfinders kind of look around at the rest of you, and none of the like NPCs seem to be making any move to go with them. And I'm assuming the players aren't either. Although, go for it if you want. It might mean you're not in the rest of this session, but go for it if you want.
Passive aggressively, leave.
I'm sticking with you guys. I feel safer with you guys.
It's funny because I feel less safe with
I'm assuming everyone is staying by virtue of just not leaving with the Pathfinders.
Yeah.
Ludo looks kind of a bit regretful about kind of leaving, and Bellin just reaches over and kind of grabs him by the shoulder, and in his kind of tribal language, which you understand, Kvarek says, "The Iron Pact has them now. Leave them." And they walk off to the south. So, a day later, the caravan emerges from the eaves of the forest into the most open area you've seen so far. At the center of it is a vast kind of sink in the earth. And in that sink is a large, quite rectangular, box-like white stone building that looks ancient beyond words. The roof of it extends kind of a few feet above the forest floor, but because of the sink in the earth, like actually scrambling up onto the roof would be like a very difficult task indeed. Ahead of you, where there's a slope down into this sinkhole, is basically what looks like where a door was. There are kind of old, very desiccated pieces of wood still hanging off the edge of it, but you can kind of see that there is definitely a way into this ruin, and it's through that door, and it looks not entirely dark inside there. You can see kind of some shafts of light coming down from the gaps in the stone overhead. The caravans kind of round themselves and come to a halt. Argasto kind of leaps down from the lead caravan and kind of goes, "Ha ha! I told you! Right here."
Is this it? Is this
About
Black
ruins.
This is the right place. I'm sure of it. He rolls up the map and kind of tucks it into the back of his breeches.
Well, it looks kind of promising, I guess.
Aye, it does. Right. We need to take a look around. Who wants to go around the edges? See if there's another way in.
I'll do it.
We shouldn't go alone.
No, someone go with him.
I'll go.
I'll go. Oh.
Oh.
Well,
Friends forever, lads.
The four of you go. The rest of us will set up camp here and start taking a look, see what that room looks like down there. Okay. So I take it the four of you are kind of patrolling around the edge of this clearing, taking a look at the other sides of this building, that kind of stuff. The white stone, incidentally, it has no markings on it of any kind. It's a very box-like surface. The only kind of distinguishing things on it are where kind of plants and kind of vines have grown through the side of the building. Okay, you make your way around. There doesn't seem to be anything kind of along the sides of the building. The only thing of note is that the trees on the edge of this clearing, they look odd. They look slightly sort of sickly, and the grey bark on the side of them is stripped away in kind of odd pitted patches. But you've never seen anything like it before, so you don't know. Perhaps it's just a disease of the trees near here.
we could just assume it'd be the norm for this forest.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I
It's
kind
just
of
notable.
look very on edge, so a tricky assumption to make there.
Sure. As you're kind of rounding the back of the large building, the sky, which has been kind of slightly overcast since Indaros, sort of peels back for a second, and the sun blazes out from behind it. Perhaps Prios is giving you his blessing. Regardless, can you all give me a vigilant roll, please?
Nope. Needed 9, got a 13.
Hey, I did it.
Hey.
Missed by 1. 11 for 10.
Okay. Ansel, on the edge of your vision, you kind of you basically catch a bit of movement on the edge of your vision towards the building. I'm assuming you're going to look. I mean, I don't want to take your agency away by assuming you'll look. Your head kind of whips around, and for the briefest of moments, you see a kind of against the sun, a silhouette of like a man's figure on top of on the very top of this box-like structure. They look somehow odd. Their head, it looks like they're wearing some kind of bulky mask of some kind, or almost as if they have like some kind of horns on the side of it. The sun kind of flashes out from between clouds again, and you kind of blink the light away in your eyes, and when you look back, there's nothing.
What was that? Did anyone see it in the sky? Something in the sky.
See what?
Oh.
You tell me you saw it. Like a man in the sky over there, sort of pointing frantically to where.
They seemed to you like they were stood on the edge of that ruin on the
stood.
edge.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, they were like
Okay.
stood on the roof essentially. They looked like they were looking at you, but like you just saw a silhouette very briefly and then blinked and they were gone.
Okay. Up there on the top of the ruin, against the sky. That's where I saw him.
I mean, ordinarily, I'd question if you'd been drinking. However, given the circumstances surrounding this, I am inclined to believe you. I'm guessing we're not welcome here.
Perhaps we should head back to the others.
We should tell them.
Okay. You head back round the other side. You don't see anything on your way back to the others. I mean, you're not far from them. You know, the building is big, but it's only like a couple of minutes walk around. You head back, and Telkeen has sort of set up the campsite. The guards that remain are there. A couple of them are kind of peering through the doorway along with Argasto. I take it you're going to go down and talk to Argasto. He kind of turns around as you approach and says, "Oh, good. Wizard, come here. Take a look at this."
I'll have a look. Hansel thinks he saw a guy on the roof, I think.
Everyone kind of turns around and looks at you.
Yeah. On the roof, there was a man, but not quite a man. Just different looking. It's hard to describe. And when I looked again, they weren't there. Just sort of again pointing to kind of general direction of where I saw it.
Argasto kind of looks over at Kvarak and says, "Is the boy seeing things?"
I'd say that's your final warning, Augusto. You rarely get two.
Well, then we better make it count, hadn't we? Bartolom, look. Within this chamber, this first chamber of the ruin, it's relatively small. You'd say about maybe 6 or so people could stand in it. That in the center of it, there are no kind of doors or anything around the walls. In the center is a column of white rock that's had the center of it kind of chipped out at some time in the past, and within that, fixed to the side of the column with sort of pinions of metal, are oddly carved white rock globes that have kind of lines traced over them in various patterns. You've never seen anything like it before.
I've never seen anything like this. I don't even know how you would go about making it.
Well, it must be the way through.
Suppose. Is the way into this room open?
Yes, it's that kind of doorway with the very old desiccated wood hanging at the sides of it. You could definitely get in there. Yeah, it's right in front of you, essentially.
Have you gone in yet, Augusto?
Had a look around. Aye. Come on, take a closer look. Seems safe to me.
I'll go in and have a close look at the kind of globes.
Mm-hmm.
See if I can
I'm going to
recognize
follow them
anything
in.
carved
Sure.
in them.
Yeah. Like I say, a few people can get in here, so you're absolutely fine to do that.
At this stage, I'm specifically not following them in. I'm hanging at the door.
Sure.
I have loyalty to Bartolom, so I'm protecting.
Sure. So, Bartolom, I'm assuming you're kind of taking a good look at these and seeing if there's anything to them or what they are, or
Yeah, seeing if I can recognize any of the shapes or how they're carved, or
sure. You definitely don't recognize the shapes. What it is like different kind of lines have been traced across them. Like there's one line with kind of hatching over it, and one that's plain, and one where there's a double line. And they seem to curve over these globes in odd patterns. Can you give me a cunning roll at -2?
okay.
Lots of cunning rolls tonight.
I make it. I rolled a 2. My cunning is 13.
You basically note that if the orbs are spun in a certain way, the lines will connect between the different globes.
I think you can make some kind of... I think they fit together somehow if you rotate them. But,
Well, do it then.
you sure?
Unless you want to sit in this room for the next 6 months.
I guess. I'll try and put them into a matching order.
Okay. They kind of creak and grind, like the pinions are old, but they hold up, and you spin the globes slowly into position. When the last one clicks into place, there's a kind of clunk and a grind somewhere in the walls around the room. The wall directly ahead of you starts to shudder and grind down in some ancient mechanism into the ground. The top corner of it literally kind of falls apart as it does so with the vibration. It wasn't really made to last this long. As that happens, there's another clunk above you, and quite a lot of odd greenish dust kind of comes down from above and half pours, half drifts over anyone stood by the kind of odd mechanism.
Oh, no.
It doesn't like horribly burn you or anything. It's just
I'll still try
but
to.
it is odd.
I'll back away from it. Try to avoid getting it on me as much as possible.
Sure. Sure. Are you curious about it in any way, or are you just kind of going weird dust?
I'll definitely look at it on my, like, when it lands on my sleeves and on my hands, like try and poke at it, maybe sniff it, see if I
Sure.
have any
Absolutely.
idea what it is.
Do you want to make me a cunning at -4?
Okay.
And you know what? It's a long shot, but I think Kavarek can make the roll as well. Cunning at -4.
In case it matters, I do have alchemy.
Oh, you know what? Reduce it to -2.
I make it. I rolled a 5 and I needed 11.
You are absolutely right. El Kavarek was not in the room, but he did see it happen. And it was more that Bartolom's looking at what it is, Kavarek, what the substance is. Kavarek was rolling for what it was that was happening. Did you make the roll, Kavarek?
I did not.
Bartolom, yeah, this is desiccated and it's inert, but you're real glad it was inert. Because this is some kind of contact poison. You can tell from the acrid smell that it has like certain kind of elements are within it, but they've long corroded over time. And it's completely inert now, but you're very glad it was inert.
This was meant to kill or at least badly injure us. This is some kind of old poison that no longer, it's too old by this point, but clearly this place is trapped.
Augusto kind of looks and kind of brushes the rest of it off himself and says, well, we better look out for that then, hadn't we? The wall ahead has kind of come all the way down, and now there is like a huge vast chamber ahead of you that basically it's more of the same kind of brickwork. It has a set of steps going down into a kind of more sunken area. And at the center of that sunken area is like it's like the column that was just there, but it's actually horizontal and held up on kind of other brickwork that has very similar orbs within it. You can see some very narrow passageways leading off to either side of the chamber, and behind this kind of frame full of orbs is quite a large pile of masonry that's kind of haphazardly gathered on the ground that comes up kind of to eye height or whatever. Augusto kind of starts kind of cautiously stepping down the stairs and looking around. He's being followed by basically two of the guards. Two of the guards. One of the others is staying back to the camp. And have we got anyone else? Yeah, Telkeen is back in the camp. Everyone else is dead or run off or left. So yeah.
I'll hesitantly kind of gingerly make my way into the first chamber, but not the adjoining chamber.
Sure. Yeah. No, those side passageway. Oh, into the first chamber, but not into the largest one. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Is everyone else kind of following Augusto down, or are some people kind of remaining with Kavarek?
I'm kind of a bit in between the two. Like, I'm not quite with like Argastor's body, but
Sure.
I'm not as far back as Kavarik either. I'm like a middle.
Sure. The chamber itself is kind of quite well lit. Looking above, you can see that the roof has quite a lot of gaps in it, and the light is kind of slanting down through with dust and spores sort of drifting through it. But it certainly gives quite a lot of light to see with.
Still like a sort of a vantage point, like a position where I could like.
Kind of the top of the stairs, you can definitely see down through the chamber pretty well.
Okay, I think I'll just stay there and heft my crossbow and.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll probably wait for our Gasto to kind of go down, and once nothing has happened, I'll follow him down to the bottom of the stairs.
Sure. And Aurea, you're kind of sticking by Bartolom, is that right?
Yeah, I'm kind of that. Yeah, I'm wherever he is, I'm nearby again.
Sure.
Sort of, because this is some shady stuff.
Sure.
Horrible feeling about this place.
So Augusto is by this sort of by the new set of globes, and is kind of peering at them closely and says, "Looks like they've got the same lines on them. Do you reckon you could do the same again? Just be careful."
Probably, but we got lucky last time that it was some inert poison, but any kind of physical trap would still probably work as it did however many years ago they built this place.
That's why I said be careful. We've come this far, we can't just stop.
Well, at least we should have a look around, see if we can see anything in the walls or anything obvious.
All right. Aurea, Kavarik, Ansel. Kavarik, get in here. Look around.
Yep.
Check everything. That pile there, the side passages. Have a look down them. Don't go in them yet. Stay safe.
How high is the ceiling in this room?
I'm terrible with distances. About the height of a 2-story house.
Cool.
Okay, so too high
Tall,
to really
high,
see if there's anything up there, anything.
It doesn't look like there is, but yeah. It's a fair distance.
Yeah, I'll be like checking the walls, kind of to see if there's any sort of.
Sure. We'll tell you what. If you check the walls, does one of you check the pile of masonry, and another one want to check the look in the side passages? That seems like a nice split of sorts of stuff. So who wants to take the masonry?
I'll take that.
Okay. So Aurea first. You're kind of going along the walls. I presume because the other wall came down, you're kind of looking, trying to tell if there's any other things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. Why don't you give me a vigilant roll?
Oh, because this has gone so well the past 2 times. 7, got it.
Hey, you don't find anything.
Oh.
So you don't find any of the sections where it looks like the wall is going to come down in the same way. That's not to say that everything is, absolutely exactly as it is, but you definitely can't find a mechanism like the one you just experienced.
Right.
So Ansel, you go over to this kind of masonry pile on the floor. It's just a massive stack of masonry as far as you can see. It seems fairly haphazardly piled up here. Are you kind of taking a closer look at it or just kind of passing it off?
No, I'm a bit freaked out, but I want to do a thorough job. So yeah, I'll check it out.
Okay, you lean close. You can't really tell anything about. There's kind of an odd smell around it, and as you kind of lean over and take a closer look at it, you can hear just kind of like an odd wheezing coming up between the gaps in the masonry, like wind is coming up from somewhere far below.
Maybe I call someone over. Maybe call Bartolom over to have a look and see what he thinks.
While Bartolom comes over.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. You guys go ahead. Yeah.
Bartolom, come here.
What is
Maybe
it?
Found something. Take a look at this. It feels different. The air is blowing up through it.
Maybe there's some kind of hole underneath all this. I don't know what this is.
Maybe help me move some of it, but we'll be careful.
All right, yeah. Definitely need to be careful.
We'll try to.
Well, sure. While you guys have a go with that, give me a strong roll, a strength roll, and I want you to give it me at difficulty of -5. And while you're doing that, let's hop to Kavarek. So as far as you can see, there's kind of 4 passages leading off, kind of side passages leading off, two on each side, and they're kind of they're parallel with each other, right?
Yeah.
So I think you're just kind of going up to the first one and sort of. I'm assuming you've got your sword and shield out at this point, and they're kind of.
Yeah. I will go kind of a little bit down the left one. I'm taking almost comically extreme steps to avoid touching this place as much as possible.
Sure. You kind of peek down there. It's very dark, and there seems to be some kind of horrible muck on the floor and the walls. There's also a very distinctive, unpleasant smell kind of wafting from them, to the point where, like, the first time it hits you, you have to...
Can I scoop a little bit of the gunk up on my shield and move it back to somewhere a bit lighter to examine it?
Absolutely. You do so. You think it's some kind of waste.
Okay. Oh, this is disgusting.
How did those strong rolls work out?
Not good.
Not good. No.
Oh, no,
Didn't think
not
they would.
great.
Yeah, these blocks aren't moving. Argasto goes, Bartolom, come on. You're just killing time now. We've got to do this. The quicker we do this, the quicker we get out.
I
Just be careful.
Arya, Kavarek, did you find anything?
Nothing over here.
Filth.
Do you see those rocks? I'll offer to try and move them myself as well. I'm assuming it'd be the same strong roll.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Let's not bother with it.
Yeah, fair enough.
I guess
There's something disgusting down that one. Looks like shit. Hold up my shield to kind of demonstrate the goo I scraped up on it.
Bartolom, are you kind of paying attention to this puzzle now? This mechanical puzzle?
Yeah, I think I'll just go for it. We haven't found any traps.
It seems to be pretty much exactly the same kind of thing. I just need a cunning roll, because you've done it before. You can take a +1 to it.
Okay. I succeed.
Okay. Yeah, it's literally exactly the same puzzle. Are you going to click it all into place?
I will click it into place and then attempt to back away.
Back away fast. Sure.
Yeah.
You kind of, Argastro's kind of leant over near you, but stood back a bit, kind of paying attention. And you kind of get the sense of the whole room is kind of holding its breath.
I am.
Click the final globe into place, and there is a shuddering through the entire frame. Give me a quick roll.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
That's okay. Not too bad. I failed by 1.
Oh,
Okay.
God.
There is a rumbling beneath you, and you kind of just start to leap back, but a fraction too late. A gush of greenish fluid roars up from the flagstones at your feet and drenches the entire bottom half of your body. And as you kind of step back, an involuntary wail comes out from your mouth as you feel the skin on your legs and your groin and the bottom of your belly start to burn ever so slightly. Kavarek, there's movement on the edge of your vision inside the passageway.
Stand ready,
As you're kind of
boys!
looking
Sword
over.
out.
Okay, you turn. Standing down the passageway is a humanoid figure. They're covered in blisters and bruises, and patches of their skin and flesh just seem to have come off. Their hands are partly, some of their fingers are gone, and in their place, what seem to be some kind of bones, sharpened bones, have been rammed into the wounds. Their head, at first, you seem to think that they're kind of a human with the head of a wild boar, but as you kind of gasp and take in the full horror of it, you see that they literally seem to have taken the head of a boar, hollowed it out, and have rammed it down over their own head. The eye sockets have been pulled and drawn out so that they can see through the holes, and the entire mass is dripping with diseased flesh and blood that runs down their body. They are stood almost still in this passageway staring at you. Almost still, because they are almost imperceptibly quivering.
I'm just gonna stand there and wait for anyone for the next. I'm ready, but taking no further action.
The two guards that remain are kind of like pelting over to where you are, and as they do so, the entire chamber shudders, and a huge shrill squealing cry echoes out from all the side passages. The one facing you charges towards you full pelt. Aurea, back where you are, you can kind of see the two backside passages. Figures that are basically exactly the same pour out from those.
I'm just going to shout that we're surrounded, just in case people hadn't seen this happening.
Absolutely. Bartolom, can you give me an armor roll, please? Whatever your armor is. I think it's a D4.
Yeah. I'm just screaming and trying to, like, desperately brush this stuff off me. D4. I rolled a 3.
Okay. In that case, only take 2 damage.
Okay.
However, whatever it is still on you. And it's going to carry on damaging you until it either runs out of potency or you get it off you. Either way, though, we're moving into combat rounds now. So, could everyone give me their relative quickness?
Yes.
13.
13 for Chris.
11.
So my relative quickness is 10.
10 and Mike.
13.
13. And you will have higher vigilance than Chris. So you will go first. And then they go at... What is that? Oh, I should have noted down the actual quickness of these individuals. And I don't obviously have the thing on me. Oh, there it is. So that is at a -3, which makes them also 13. And their vigilance is much lower. So they will go last. So our order, or I say our order, but the order you get to choose in, because you can actually choose to delay your action, and then that sets the order. But unless anyone delays their action, we'll have Mike, then Chris, then Sam, then Elle, and then whatever these horrific creatures are. Does anyone want to delay their action and go behind other people?
I was going to suggest as a possible thing, because obviously my whole thing is strong.
Mm-hmm.
Would people want to like delay so that I wound up as like the first actor, or?
But that would mean that everyone else went after these creatures. So
After these, in that case, yeah, no, big no, big no.
Oh no, not
Ignore
necessarily.
me.
Actually, no, not necessarily. Not necessarily. No, because they
I
could
didn't
all
know
go
the
after
tank
you.
creatures,
They could all
sorry.
go after you. So it's up to you guys. But I wouldn't get too tactical about it. It's not that tactical a system. So
Yeah. So just to confirm my understanding of this, there are 4 branches off this corridor.
Mhm.
There's at least 1 abomination per passage.
yes,
We got people at the far end of the corridor, and I'm kind of near the back by the first passage. Is that correct?
correct. That's absolutely correct.
Where have the guards made their way into this kind of
They've
cross-section?
kind of moved up to flank you.
Okay,
and
perfect.
Argasto is still at the center. He's kind of reeling back, looking horrified at what's happening to Bartolom.
I will take my action in order then.
Okay. Is everyone else taking their action in order?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, great. Mike, what are you doing?
Well, I'm going to assume that I would have my crossbow in my hands.
You can
and sort of
absolutely
ready
assume
to go.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
because
everyone was on edge. Everyone's got their weapons. Yeah.
I think I've been on edge for like 5 days at this point.
Sure.
So I'm just going to take aim at like the nearest one who's
The
a threat
nearest
to
one
me.
to you is probably the one on the opposite side from where Kavarek and the 2 guards are, who's
Okay.
kind of coming in behind them.
Okay.
So I believe because you have 6th sense that you don't roll accurate to do a ranged attack.
Yeah,
you roll vigilance. Is that right?
Yeah. I think it says it lets me choose vigilance instead of accurate.
Yeah.
So I guess I've got
You
the choice.
want-
I definitely want to use vigilant.
So your accurate is like 5 or something shit. Yeah. Okay. So you roll that against their defense. Their defense is +9. So what's your vigilant?
15.
Right. You have to roll a d20 and get under 24. I don't think this has an auto fail at 20 or anything like that. I don't think, but for the sake of argument, let's roll. If anyone in chat or John knows if they're... I don't think there's an auto fail at 20, which means that basically hitting these guys, you're going to hit them.
Death.
Because they're kind of stumbling forwards and shrieking and thrashing around. They're not exactly hard to hit.
Okay.
But give me a roll anyway, while someone in chat... sorry, you believe Elle's right. Sorry, what did you say, Elle?
So I believe that the only time when natural 20 like really comes into play from my preliminary readings is if you're doing a death roll. If you roll 20,
Yeah. Then it's always super bad. Yeah.
So I think that's the only time I've read about.
I think so. So I think you auto hit this. So I don't think it particularly matters.
I rolled 5. So
cool. So what is the damage on your crossbow?
So it's 1d12, I think.
Okay, so if you roll that, and then if you could subtract 4 from it, because that is their armor value.
Okay.
Well sneeze controlled there, Sam.
So I've rolled 12, but then I guess -4 would be 8.
Oh, you rolled nice. So you rolled an 8 on them, and that's it. Okay, yeah, your crossbow bolt kind of shrieks across the open chamber, slams into their collarbone, and they sort of reel back, clawing at it and giving out an unsettling guttural scream. So you've gone over their pain threshold, which means you get to choose if you knock them down or if you get an immediate other free attack on them.
I think I'll just knock them down.
Sure. Sure. So that one's knocked down and they're kind of thrashing around on the floor in a oddly inhuman way while kind of scrabbling at the crossbow bolt in their shoulder. So next we have Chris.
So the one coming towards me, I'm going to be specifically putting it in the best possible position for me to make a swing at it and take a shield strike after the swing to knock it down.
Cool. Okay. So that would be... is the shield bash a movement action then?
No, the shield bash is automatic after I pass the first attack.
Okay, because of your level in shield mastery, yes?
Yes, a death reaction. Yeah.
Or man at arms or something. Yeah. I don't think I've ever explained the action economy to you guys. So it's very similar to a lot of other modern games. You get a combat action, which is usually an attack. You get a movement action, which is moving or getting up or doing something around that. And basically that's your lot. And then you can take any number of reactions or what are called free attacks, which are mostly when people disengage from melee. But yeah, let's rattle on quickly. So yeah, give me an accurate attack. And again, it's at a +9, so
oh boy.
It's probably an auto hit.
I rolled a 10. It's pretty much an auto hit.
Yeah. So, if you give me a damage roll and reduce it by 4 for their armor.
Damage. Oh, where's the damage for my sword? Sword is 1d10, which has already been modified.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. 2 was the number I rolled on the dice.
Essentially, you give a kind of deep swing with your sword. It slams into their flesh and leaves a kind of score over it, which doesn't really bleed properly, which is pretty odd. And it doesn't seem to register it or feel it in any way.
So I then follow up with the shield bash. Now I've made my successful attack.
Presumably it doesn't have to damage, it just has to be a successful attack.
Yeah, it
Go
just
for
said successful. So in that case, I do 1d4. I got 3.
Okay.
And if I make a successful contest strong v strong, they're knocked down.
Okay. So make your strong test at a -1, please. By the way, I am aware that this is clocking over our intended time. It's difficult because this is the prologue and we have a set place we need to end it, but I can assure you it won't be long now. So, Chris.
The number I rolled was 12. That makes it 11.
No, sorry. It makes your target a -1. So what is your strong?
My strong is 11. So that's
a fail then.
passes. Oh, damn.
No, because it's a -1 because your strong is cut down to 10.
Oh, okay, so I don't...
Because they're strong, so it mitigates your strength. So, yeah, so you shield bash, but it kind of just grunts and doesn't really move.
Right.
But good try. Sam, first off, can you give me another armor roll, please?
Yes. I rolled a 1.
Okay, take 4 damage, please.
Yikes.
This stuff is searing. You can smell your flesh burning. What are you going to do?
Is there any kind of action I can take to try and get this off me? Like maybe
I don't know. Why don't you give me a cunning roll?
Okay. I made a cunning roll by 2.
Okay. So success, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. You dive on the ground among all the scrabbled dirt and bits of rock and basically just start grinding it against your legs and like inner thighs, your groin, your belly, just trying to scrape this horrible sticky fluid off you. You think you've got most of it. But now we're done. So, Elle.
Hello.
Hello.
So I was in the room where the walls. I was just in the main chamber.
You were kind of further at the back where the other 2 side passages are, and there's one coming out of each of them.
Excellent. All right, cool. I'm going to. Is anyone on either of them?
No.
No. All right, cool. I am going to go to the one, I don't know, say it's like my right or whatever.
You're right. So probably the one on the other side from Kavarek. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to go there, and I am going to attack it with. I'm not passing any other like
No,
monsters.
you don't have to.
No.
Yeah, there's no free attacks or anything like that. Yeah, you can use your movement action to go over and just absolutely go for it. I take it you've got your long sword out, yeah?
I do have my long sword out, so I'm going to use my long sword. And for the for the viewers, I have a passive ability, which means any damage dealt by heavy weapons is increased to 1d12. I don't know what it would have been ordinarily, maybe like a d8 or something. But yeah, 1d12.
You get an auto. Yeah, unless your persuasive is less than 11.
No, my persuasive is 13.
So, yeah, it's an auto hit. So go for it and roll your damage, which is a d12. I think you said, right?
Yeah, it is indeed a d12.
And subtract 4 from the result.
Subtract 4 from the result. Got it.
Mm-hmm. You rolled 1. Oh dear.
I rolled a 1.
Oh dear.
I'm a good tank.
Sure.
A real good tank.
Yeah. So your swing, it doesn't go wild, but it just kind of clips the edge of their shoulder and it staggers them, but it doesn't really seem to pierce through. So that's not great. So the ones who are engaged on people now are going to make their rolls on you guys. And this is one of the features of Symbaroum. I don't roll any dice. I never roll any dice. You guys will roll defense for their attacks, which is great. Let's go with the one on who's attacking Kavarek first. So it's going to attack you with its accurate. So can you give me a defense roll at -5, please? And I'm assuming you're using your shield because it's a higher defense.
Please.
I know that.
So I rolled a 6. My defense is 11. So I think that's very safe. Hang on. So I add 5 to the number I roll. Or subtract 5.
No, you subtract 5 from your defense.
Okay, so my defense is 11, 10,
So it's
9,
down to
8,
6.
7, 6. And I rolled a 6.
Yes, so you do it. Yeah.
Nice.
So the thing comes screaming and flailing towards you, and you kind of hunker down behind your shield. Some of the odd bone shards embedded into its hands kind of curl over the edge of your shield and then scrape off with a horrific shrill noise, but it does not get to you. The one on Elle. So Elle, can you roll your defense and can you -5 to your defense and then roll against it? And your defense is pretty bad, I think.
My defense is garbage. My defense is 6.
So you need a 1.
I need a 1. And I believe I'm going to have a quick look at my character sheet. So I'm a bit... It says that my armor is impeding.
That's all calculated already. It's all calculated already.
It's all calculated already.
It's all calculated already. Your defense is just your defense as it is.
My defense is my defense. Fantastic.
So get a 1.
Time to die, I guess. I got a 12, so...
That's not a 1.
That is not a 1. There's a 1 in it.
Yeah.
There's a 1 in it. You're absolutely right. No one could ever argue against that.
Exactly.
So can you give me an armor roll, please? And you've got pretty good armor, though, haven't you? So.
Yes, I do have pretty good armor. My armor is 1d8. So... 7.
Okay. Take 2 damage, then. It kind of shrieks at the kind of impudence of your sword barely clipping it and slashes out with the bone shards embedded in its hand, raking kind of over your back arm on your longsword, and you feel some of the chainmail kind of giving way and falling apart underneath it. But there's only a kind of vague sting along your arm, so clearly it didn't get through much. Okay. The chamber shudders even more, and a horrible grunting roar starts somewhere below the chamber. Those of you closest to it can see it the most, but all of you feel it, and anyone looking in the vague direction is aware of it. The pile of masonry starts to shudder, and with a heave and a horrible squealing noise, a colossal, wretched, awful, rotting, monstrous boar rears up from the base of the chamber, its back studded with blocks of white stone masonry, its tusks dripping with some horrific purplish black ichor. It swings around and kind of fixes its glare on Argasto, who's just kind of stood there shaking and kind of holding a short sword out in one trembling hand. With a colossal grunt, it speeds forward, impaling Argasto instantly on its tusks and driving him against one of the columns holding this chamber up. We are now, and this is primarily because we have to get to a certain place, and I'm aware of the time and I don't want to keep people too late. We're now going to go into narrative combat. I think everyone understands what I mean when I say that. Yes? So no die rolls. We're just going to take actions, and the consequences of those actions will happen according to the storytelling. Cool. We will, however, keep the turn order because we've got to ask people in some kind of order. So, Mike, what are you doing? You are also aware of a further scrambling and squealing noise coming from these side passages. Everyone's aware of this.
I'm pretty horrified about what I've just seen happen to the caravan leaders. So yeah, I'm going to take aim at the big boar monster.
Sure.
And yeah, another get another crossbow shot fired off.
Sure. You ready your crossbow. You can't miss. It's huge. It's so big that you can no longer see Kavarek and the other caravan guards. They're just behind it somewhere. You plug away a shot into its hide, and it kind of it hits, and some kind of the same purplish black ichor that's dripping from its tusks sprays out slightly and leaves a hissing patch on the floor of the chamber, and it kind of wheels round Argasto's broken body, slowly tumbling from its tusks with a great hole rent in the center of him, and fixes you with a glare and charges forward. Chris.
Wow, I want out of here. Can I? I just want to clear enough space so that there's still a meaningful escape route for the other guys.
Okay. I take it you're kind of looking around to see if there is a way out.
Yeah.
Okay. As you look round, you can see that the doorway. First off, you can see a guard, kind of on like at the entrance to the first chamber, sort of desperately holding his shield up and reeling backwards from more of the kind of the humanoid blight-ridden creatures with the boars' heads implanted over their own, basically coming from outside and driving him back into the chamber. You also see that the wall mechanism that came down to open this chamber is grinding back up.
Great.
What action would you like to take?
I'm going to go and try and help the guard repel the incoming group.
Okay. You kind of dash backwards. The other two guards kind of take over, fending off the creature you were fighting, and you just about manage to kind of scramble over the wall before it judders up into the section I said fell away when it first came down. That's what allows you to get back over there, and you kind of barrel your way into the fight that this individual is having with the boar. But the wall slowly climbs its way back up and crashes into place, fully blocking the entrance. Kavarek is outside with the guard, with the driver, Telkeen, and whatever is on the outside of there. And whatever fate befalls him is unknown to those of you inside the ruin. John, can you take Chris away, please? Sam, what are you doing? You've cleared this horrible acidic fluid off yourself.
The stairs are still within this part of the ruin of the building, right?
I mean, you're about halfway down the room, but the stairs leading up, but now they lead up to just a featureless wall.
I think I'm gonna kind of scramble back up the stairs to get my back against the wall.
Sure.
And then I'm gonna cast Brimstone Cascade on this boar creature that's attacking Aurea.
Sure. You will nature to your dominance, to your command, and heat and flames start swirling around you in the air. You gesture forward with your staff, and they flood through the air and crackle over the skin of the boar, producing a kind of sickly. It smells like rotten bacon cooking on a fire. It gives out some kind of squeal, and a kind of smoke and flame starts running along its hide between the large chunks of white stone, but it does not slow its charge whatsoever. Elle, you have noticed that basically where the boar lifted itself out of the ground, there is the hole that it's left seems to lead down to another room.
Okay, so I'm going to shout just to the party whilst running there. Basically, just being like, guys, come on, and like just dive down. Not literally dive, but yeah, try and.
Yeah, you're kind of trying to retreat down this hole. I mean, whatever's down there can't be worse than what's here, right?
Than what is currently. I
Sure.
like not giant boar.
Sure. You kind of back off successfully. The humanoid creature is still flailing towards you, but you can see that there's a drop of about 9 or 10 feet down there, and you just kind of pitch yourself off and hope you land well. Does that sound about right?
Basically.
Okay,
YOLO.
you pitch yourself kind of down into the dark, and there you are in another room. The creatures are kind of carving their way through the caravan guards. They're backing off and desperately hacking away. All of you hear like a terrified scream as one of them is pulled under several of them who've poured out of a side passage. Ansel, you're kind of, I assume you're trying to get your crossbow ready or duck out of the way or something?
I think at this point I'm probably just dropping my crossbow and running away from the ball as fast as possible.
Sure. You kind of drop your crossbow, you wheel round, and then you just feel yourself pitching through the air, your vision spinning. You don't even really feel the pain as you slam into a wall, slide down from it, and everything blinks out. John, remove mic, please. Okay.
And then there were two.
It's not looking good.
So, Bartolom, you kind of look around yourself. The only other guard remaining is sort of desperately holding back one of the humanoid creatures as they slowly drive one of the tusks on the rotten boar head kind of into their neck, and is kind of mewling and screaming as they fall under another pile of the creatures. You wheel round. You would estimate 20 to 25 of them are now pouring out of the side passages and running desperately towards you.
Join me.
Is there a way between me and that and the hole?
You saw Aurea jump down there. I mean, it's full of them. They're coming for you, and they're going to be on you in seconds. You have time for one last thing. What are you doing?
If I think I have any hope of making it to the hole, I will attempt to jump in the hole.
Okay. You kind of scramble forward and try and weave round the first couple of them. And then you don't know what it is, but you feel something take your legs out from under you. You collapse to the ground, and you just feel a weight on top of you briefly and a split second of pain. Can you remove Sam, please, John?
Oh God.
Aurea, you kind of look around and gain awareness of your surroundings. It's a large, dark room, much darker than above because the light doesn't really reach down here. Ahead of you is a huge circular stone door that looks like it maybe rolls aside via some complex mechanism. It's covered in kind of bas reliefs and carvings of various scenes of unknown things happening. Above you, you hear a few screams and then a heavy thudding noise of something coming towards the hole.
Is there anywhere to hide?
There is certainly nowhere to hide. If you're going to have to fight, having your back against that door is probably a good thing.
Back to the door, sword drawn. I'm going out in a blaze of glory.
Okay. Bold Sir Aurea. So you back against the door, the boar plummets down and crashes to the ground in front of you. The entire chamber shakes with the weight, with the mass of it. You can feel kind of the hot breath coming off it. You can smell the sickly, rotten, corrupted stench of the ichor dripping off its trunk. Its tusks. And with one final mad glare at you and squeal, it piles forward towards you. Are you kind of standing braced? Are you meeting it?
Let's see. It piles towards me. How tall am I in comparison to this thing?
It's at least twice your height.
Twice my height. All right, awesome. I'm gonna try and slide under it as it runs.
Its belly almost touches the floor.
In that case, I am just going to eat shit and die. I'm just going to run towards it and
You're just going to kind of swing.
100%.
Okay, you take your first steps across the chamber. kind of air whistling past you as you do so. You brace yourself ready, heft your blade, and as it swings towards it, there's just a soft glitter along the edge of it of light kind of shining, and you just have time to register the kind of odd beauty of this moment. And then the pair of you meet. That's the end of the prologue.
Very, very
cool.
dramatic.
So,
I like it.
for this end bit, normally we'd have like a Q&A session, right? I think we've got, like, I'm happy doing a bit, but I know that players want to get themselves off. John, do you want to bring everyone back in who is still around? I know Mike's had to head off and stuff. Thanks, players. You've been excellent. You've been wonderful. For viewers who are curious, next week, I've said this is a prologue. Next week, we will start the main story. It will be 7 or 8 years after this, and they will be playing their actual main characters. These were pre-generated ones, which we use for this purpose. Don't worry, it wasn't just a scene setting. There will be an effect from this. The story will link into it. It'll be good stuff. So if anyone has any questions or any comments they want to make, put them out there. You can have put them out there before this as well. John will flag them up and throw them up. If you don't want to, that's cool too. But do so. Any of the players who want to head off now, who are tired or whatever,
Mentally
feel free
shook.
to do so. Mentally shook. Feel free to do so, but you can hang around and help me answer the questions if you want. If there's
I can hang around for a little bit.
cool.
Yeah, I can stick around.
Cool.
Got a mentally.
Did you guys
Cool,
enjoy that?
cool, cool.
John, pop anything up as and when it happens. But if there's nothing, let me know that as well.
So I believe that Chris has made like 7 characters or something.
Yeah. Have you made your characters yet? We haven't really. We have character ideas. I know Mike's got a character idea he's pretty set with. Chris, you've got like 6 or 7 ideas, but have kind of fallen on one of them. And Sam and Elle are still gestating, I believe.
Basically, I didn't want to make a character until like I had played this session. Otherwise, I'd just spend this session going, "Damn, I wish I was playing this character."
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a very, very wise thing to do.
I think
We'll sorry, carry on, Chris.
Justin has the right of it there. I made 7 characters in order to just make sure I'm never short a character in a pinch.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're actually going to create our characters at some point in the next week, ready in time for our next session next Wednesday at 8:00 again, 8:00 BST. And we will go forward and like I say, this one was a little bit not prescribed, but definitely guided and roadmapped, and obviously that end had the narrative section because I needed it to get to a certain place. But going forward, there'll be a lot more agency. Don't worry, we won't have a set place we need to end things at, so I won't be rushing or running us towards anything. Anything else there?
There is something, but I don't understand the question.
Do you accept stream layout assets? Not sure how much has been set up. Not at the moment, because we've got actually a few people working on things like that, and if we could do things in-house, we'll do them. If you want to make anything and sling it our way, feel free to at us on Twitter at Telling Tales RP, and we'll hold it under consideration. But like at the moment, we're kind of going towards people. We've got some pretty decent assets already. We have the wonderful intro sequences that were kind of put to. I did a bit of work on them, but they were mostly done by Steve, who's probably been in chat much this time.
Yes,
and many thanks to him. And John's done some stuff. Various people have done various things. But by all means, if you've got something you want to throw at us on Twitter, Telling Tales RP. I can't guarantee we'll use it because we might have someone else working on it, but by all means, if you want to work something up, of course. Anything else? Player deaths are very easy in this game. Yes, they're, especially if you just tell them they're dead. That very easy then. But yeah, they are. It is brutal. And a couple of them were in deep trouble even without my narrative. Like, it's actually quite difficult to get hit by that boar and not die at the level these guys are at.
I'd taken over half my health just from the top six.
And it hadn't even used some of its other tricks. You could have divined it, so it's not really a spoiler. But like, it has acid for blood, which is why all the stuff came out. And there's a lot of acid stuff. Bartolom was in serious trouble.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of the features of the game, and it's why Chris's backup characters are pretty
Numerous.
sensible. So do you plan to go through the Free League campaigns, or will it be all original? Well, a mix is the boring question to that. I'm not entirely sure yet. I've got a vague idea for this first story arc, which we're going to run through, and we'll link into this prologue that's happened. And that is all original. But if it's anything like tonight has been, any eagle-eyed Symbaroum readers who know about the Promised Land, I think is the story in the main book, will know that, for example, almost everyone lifted their names and character traits from that, because I was like, I've got a resource here of a list of characters and I'm just going to use them. I knew I wanted to start them in a caravan train over the Titans, which is where that story starts. So I lifted a lot of characters and stuff, and I might do similar things. I might lift set pieces and stuff. Whether I actually want to run the main core campaigns as they are, I don't know. On the one hand, I've spent a lot of money on those books and I should get some use out of them. But on the other hand, I think people prefer people to have run their own stories on streams. But if people have opinions on that, then shout them out. Again, at us on Twitter, any feedback, or comment, because obviously a bunch of people are hopefully watching this on VOD on our YouTube channel, which is at Just Telling Tales, and is linked probably on Twitch, I hope. It'll be in the video description if it's... which is on YouTube. So I don't know. Is it just you guys, or are there any other people coming into the campaign later? We don't have any plans to bring in any other characters, but if certainly that would be what happened if people had to take some time off or leave for any reason. But we're not planning to introduce more players into this campaign. I think 4 is a nice amount of people. What we will have coming up some point soon, over the next few weeks or couple of months or whatever, are other series starting. So I'm going to start another one, which will which will probably be Vampire Masquerade 5th edition. And we've also got some other GMs who might be doing a kind of alternating thing. You've added this YouTube channel to the social links. Thank you, John. So yeah, our social links on Twitch will have the YouTube channel where the VODs are going up, and the Twitter. Wonderful. So there'll be some other GMs as well. I think Call of Cthulhu has been floated around. You may be able to sense a kind of dark horror vibe coming off it, but hey, that's why we've got the that's what we've built the aesthetic to be so far, so it all works out. You might need to refresh the page to see if you joined at the start, the social links, but yeah, they're there. So yeah, that's that question answered ridiculously thoroughly. Anything else? Anything for the players?
I'll be here to die every session. I'll just
yes, every session. End of every session. That's going to be the whole.
Absolutely. Every time it's like poison or acid as well.
Yeah. Well, if we've got nothing more immediate, then we've already run about 23 minutes over our usual time limit, or the weekly time limit I want to have. So have any of you played Symbaroum before? I don't think any of us have. I haven't run it before, and they haven't played it before. So no. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. I consider this to have been a really successful launch. We have done lots of YouTube stuff before, but that was, moderately successful. So it's wonderful to see so many people watching and interacting with our first launch here. Thanks wonderfully to the players who've been very tolerant of my incredibly anally retentive, obsessive project managery nature about setting this up. Huge thanks to Steve for all the artwork and video design stuff he's done. Huge thanks to John, the quiet hero of this stream. John, pop yourself back on and take a bow. There we go.
It's John.
So yeah, thanks everyone. We'll be back on Twitch next Wednesday, 8 o'clock, to start with the main characters of the campaign. We hope you'll join us. Please do. This is how little I've done Twitch. It's follow on Twitch, not subscribe, right? Give us a follow. Give us similar things on our social media and YouTube. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.